Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League Road to Challengers. And we have the Challengers knockout section. And hello, hello, very warm welcome to my friend Grandmaster Sahaj Grover is joining us. Welcome, Sahaj.
Thank you so much, Rakesh. It's such an interesting event. Yeah, two matches, 10 plus 0, and that's what decides basically who's going to qualify into the semifinals. Going to be a
Yeah.
very exciting day. Super excited to have you. And yeah, let's get the game started.
Yeah, action will be starting pretty soon. So we have the women's section today that we are starting out. So it's going to be women's section, then the men's section, and lastly the prodigy board. So eight top players of the world, top women players now. Sahaj, any quick predictions? Who do you think will be qualifying into tomorrow's semifinals?
It's a good question because firstly we have Yulia Osmak versus Mitra Hijazipur, and Mitra, on paper she's 2191, but I know for a fact because I played her, when she was let's say when she was in her peak, yeah, and she was around 2350, and I had a very difficult match against her. So definitely on paper she is 100 points down, behind Yulia, but I would say this is a pretty, let's say, evenly based match. I think it really comes down to who is going to be a better fast player in this sense. So here I'm not sure. I think it can go any way. What do you think about this, Rakesh?
Yeah, I think both players having an equal chance, and tough matchup for both of them as we see. But it's the quarterfinals. No one is going to be an easy opponent. We have four players who have qualified through the whole week of qualifying and four invited players. So the invited players are Yulia Osmak, Mai Narva from Estonia, Padmini Rao from India, and Olivia Kiolbasa from Poland. So the other matchups, I think Mai Narva definitely starts as a big favorite. International master is May Narva, who plays against Rucha Pujari, who's a WI. But Rucha is streaming as well, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. And the other match we have Padmini Raut versus Jesse February. So Indian IM versus in South African WM. So we have the whole world here. And lastly, to wrap it up, Poland's Olivia Kiolbasa plays Angel Ruth Nugroho from Indonesia.
It's a great wrap up there. I mean, I think out of all of these matches, I think okay, let's come back to Olivia versus Angel. And by the way, are we allowed to say, or are we? Is this not public info yet?
Well, I think we will see. We'll check in on the game start time. Maybe there was some
Got
delay,
it.
but yeah, we will let you know once the game has started. But I think Sahaj, today's at least the women's section featured matchup should be, I think, Yulia Osmak versus Mitra. What do you think?
Absolutely, because I think these are the players who are very evenly matched. I think
Hmm.
based on their strength, I would say this will be definitely a match to keep an eye out of. Between Mai Narva and Rucha Pujari, I think again there's a very big gap between these two players. So I think Mai Narva does, on paper at least, have a very sizable advantage, and I think same can be said for between Padmini and Jesse. Because that's again a 300-point difference between these two players that has to show, somewhere. So I think I think amongst all of the players, all the four matches that we have, I think the match between Yulia and Mitra is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. And also Mitra is also a very famous, let's say, YouTuber these days. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you've checked out those videos where she is sort of explaining chess in Persian and then also in French as well. Um,
Mhm.
they are they're quite fun.
Absolutely. And don't think if she's streaming this one, but there is a $250 streamer price as well, as we see Mitra Hijaziapur from France, earlier from Iran. She's above us and she's ready and all set to play. Said just quickly letting everyone know what are the players playing for. So everyone here who's going to be playing today, at least in the women's section, is guaranteed $350. Whoever wins and qualifies to the semis is guaranteed of $500. The finalist receives $1,000, and the main prize hedge. Every player wants to go to Mumbai and be a brand ambassador for this edition of the Global Chess League. So if they can come to Mumbai, they get $7,500 and get to be there, see the action live, and maybe also get a chance to play against the top players of the world.
That is insane actually. And what are the dates for this event in Mumbai?
So the Global Chess League, the third edition, is going to happen 13th to 24th of December 2025.
Ooh, that is perfect. Yeah, right before World Rapid and Blitz, so the
Yeah,
players can plan out their calendars, in a perfect fashion. I think that's quite cool. And also in your home city in Mumbai.
absolutely. It's going to be an exciting time. We've seen Mumbai having a few Grandmaster events in the past, but I don't remember in my lifetime there was, such a big event in the past. So, where we'll see Vichy, the world champion Gukesh is going to play. So that's going to be a
Hmm.
big, big event in Mumbai as we see Rucha here. I think she has a streaming setup. She also did a watch party last time where they were watching the stream last weekend. But today, I think she is focused. She definitely wants to beat Mai Narva to enter tomorrow's semifinals. So I think we've discussed all the eight players ahead. We will be having action very, very soon. I'm excited, Saj. Let's go.
Oof.
Let's go.
It's gonna be a fun day. It's gonna be a fun day, I think, for all of the players. Yeah, I'm super excited to how this match unfolds between these two players. By the way, the Olivia Kiolbasa. I mean, I actually played her
Hmm.
in Cheshme Open about 3 or 4 months ago, and she made a Grandmaster norm in that tournament. She played against the average rating of everyone was above 2500 that she played against, and
Wow.
she did not lose a single game, which was very, very impressive to me.
Absolutely. And it's not even uh, the performance, but it's also the fact that she scored an Open Grandmaster knob and she's on
Mm.
road to become an Open Grandmaster. And Saj, let's also remind chat that Kiolbasa had a dream tournament in India when she played the Olympiad for Poland. She started on with 8 on 8, one of the board prizes. So she wants to, definitely rekindle those memories of winning in India. But we'll see if she gets there. Currently, I think she's still playing an OTB game, so we're not sure if she can make it to time. We hope so. But yes, action coming very soon as our producer is showing us the glimpses of all players are set. They are ready. Sahaj, action starting any minute. We are in the quarterfinals of
I'm at
the challengers knockout of the women's section.
I'm kind of wondering if the games have started because how the players are focused on the cameras as we can see it looks like they're
Yeah,
actually, already playing the matches, but I think we should have it live very, very soon for you guys. Okay, first move predictions. Let's start with the game of Padmini and Jesse.
yeah.
Rakesh, first move predictions.
I think Padmini would start with pawn to e4. I think games have started there. We might be having like a 1 minute fair play delay officially.
Mhm.
So games can be starting in any time. So any second we might have a start. I think pawn to e4. And what do you think, Sanj?
No, Padmini always goes with 1e4, but Padmini, let's just say she was a lot more active a few years back. And
Hmm.
it's great to see her, sort of in action after such a long time. Maybe she has made some changes, maybe for faster chess. But as far as I remember, I have played Padmini many times. Actually, I have a horrible score against her, like in classical chess, and she has always, played a wonderful match against me. And every time she started with something like, pawn to e4. So that's what I would be expecting as well. What about, let's say, Yulia versus Mitra?
Oh, I think that Yulia definitely a strong player. She was the first confirmed player. I'm predicting a London system or a Queen's pawn
Oof.
opening. So pawn to d4 here in this game.
Pawn to d4 and on pawn to e4. And anyone in the chat watching, feel free to drop your predictions for the first move between these two players.
Mhm.
I also I'm somehow getting a feeling that we might get an English today, so I'm kind of rooting for one c4 just to get some interesting wild position that we haven't seen as much in practice. So I think that would be quite interesting to see. By the way, are the games live already?
Yeah, game starting any second. All four games will be started at the same time that we're getting an update. Hello, Mohit in the chat is saying, hello, Rakesh bhai, hello, Sahaj bhai. What's up? We are excited. Mohit, and hope you are excited as well. And yes, we know I don't see any moves on any boards, so should
Yeah,
be starting out very soon.
nothing yet on my end. Maybe, do you think
Yeah,
I should
yeah.
restart, refresh my board or something like that? Or do you think it's fine?
No, I think nothing on my end either.
Okay, got it.
So let's just check in with the team. No.
Okay, I'm just gonna refresh my browser. Sorry for this chat. There we go. The boards are refreshed now. And okay, I think we're in the same situation. I don't think the games, maybe there's some fair play stuff. Yeah, maybe the games are not live yet.
Yeah, probably a delay of 60 seconds was there last weekend.
Mhm.
And yeah, clock times added, but no moves yet. No.
But that's progress. Having
Yeah,
the
yeah,
clock
yeah, for
times is
sure.
progress. Let's go.
For sure, for
Are
sure.
the men's, women's, and under 21 quarters running simultaneously or stacked? If I'm not mistaken, Tanmay, I think the first match is going to be between the women, and then it's going to be men, and then it's going to be the juniors. Is that correct, Rakesh?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. So it's going to all happening today. All the quarterfinals of the three categories will be done today, Tanmay. And yeah, let us know if you're rooting for a particular player, and we'll try to show their game mode. But yes, Sej, let's remind chat about the format. Two-game mini match, 1.5 points qualifies, goes through to tomorrow's semifinals. And in case there is a 1-1 tie, then we'll have an Armageddon. So I used to do this with Tiku last weekend. So
Mhm.
Sahaj, how many Armageddons do you think we'll be seeing today as a whole?
I'm gonna make a wild guess and I'm gonna say zero, actually. I'm gonna say zero because I think besides this board between Yulia and Mitra, I think the players are like one side is pretty, I think, a heavy favorite just based on the rating alone. So I think between Yulia and Mitra, I'm still not sure who's going to win there because I think it really depends on form. Um, but yeah, I think there's gonna be zero. And what about you, Rakesh?
I think at least two. Uh, I think we'll have two Armageddons today, is what I think of.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us one of them? Just one.
I don't know. I don't know. I just think overall we will be having some Armageddon action where
Hmm.
black player will have the draw odds, whereas white has to win on demand.
And what is the time format for the Armageddon in this event?
So both players have to bid. Times
Okay.
from 10 minutes. It's just very similar to the Champions Chess.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Tanmay Singh rooting for Abhimanyu, Puranik, Padmini, and Pranesh. So nice of Tanmay to give us one player in each of the categories. So Abhimanyu Puranik lives about couple of hours from Mumbai. So would love to make the short travel and be a part of the historic third edition of the Global Chess League. Padmini also from India. She's playing right now in the women's section, and Pranesh will be playing in the junior section.
I actually met Abhimanyu basically in this Romanian Grand Prix that I was playing, and he had a spectacular, performance there. Okay, maybe it wasn't the the best event for him, but I would say his team was performing amazingly. Yeah, it was just between him
Mhm.
and this another team. It was Arad and Ase, and both of them had stacked. Yeah, it was like from board one to board six, all grandmasters. Would you believe me if I told you Parligras was board six?
Yeah, that's
Just for everyone in the chat, Parley Grass is a 2550 Grandmaster, very, very strong, and having that on board six is like a cheat code, yeah.
of course. And I mean, Abhimanyu will try to put that event behind him. And I think we have the games have started Sahaj, but we'll just try to see if how
Are you
to get to them. It
are you
is
able to
not
see it
there
on
on
your
the
end?
it's not on the events page. So just trying to figure that out with the team.
Hmm.
If possible, Sahaj, I'll just try to send you the link. So if you can open that, then at least we can, watch them directly. So
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
on a
sure, sure, sure. Please
second.
send it over.
Yeah.
Hold on, chat. I think the game should be live any second now. I think we will be doing some changes here, and I think it should work very, very soon.
hmm Just trying to check that in.
Yeah, for sure the players are already in the game zone, let's just say.
Yeah. So perhaps let me
Pablo,
try putting it on the chat for you, and maybe you can open this link and check out
yeah,
the
yeah,
game.
sure, sure, sure. On Zoom?
Yeah, on Zoom.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay, got it. And I think I will just try to. Okay, wait a second. I think the games have just updated really quickly for me. By the way, the games from the link that was already here. I think that
Okay,
it
so
was
then we
bugging
can
for a
stay with
second.
that. Yeah, we can stick with that as well. Then.
Yeah, yeah, we can just stick with it. By the way, look at this. Sorry to cut you off in this, but look at the game between Padmini and Jesse because looks like Jesse is completely winning against Padmini. What a huge upset this
Wow.
is.
This is going to be a huge upset. And remember, both players playing 10 plus 0. So there is no increments ahead. You're not going to get any additional damage. She pushes the pawn to h4. And black wants to really destroy the structure, trying to get the queen in and the pieces in and deliver a checkmating attack.
Wow. So if I played G4, I mean, I understand that there's some problems with the dark squares, but is the queen just jumping into F4 and that's just GG or what's happening?
Yeah, and there is a smashing idea with knight takes g4 as well in the air. So you got to check out for that. I know no problem with what Jesse also played. Maintains the control on the position, but Sahaj looking like a big upset to start out.
Wow, that's huge. That is huge. I mean, that's great news for Jesse there because once you play G4, I mean, it's like you are out of options because if you take GH4, you're already
Mhm.
accepting that the position is super bad for you. If you keep the pawn on G3, then you just lose it. And if G4, then there is just knight takes G4. And judging by the time situation as well, Jesse is having a minute more than Padmini at the moment. And starting off with, by the way, she plays G4. Yeah, knight G4 is on the horizon. This is the moment. Do you think she's
I think
gonna do
it's
it?
time. It's time to go. It's time to go. We see Jessie on the screen above us. She looked focused, and Sehed somehow her face looks tilted to one side of the board. So she might be more focused on the king side there. But we have a quick look at the other boards as well. Can we quickly go to Yulia versus Mitra? Because that's
Uh,
an end game already. So let's have a quick check in there.
Absolutely. So this is the current position. It looks like Mitra has an extra pawn on d5, but that pawn seems to be taken very soon. I mean, it is possible that black can play knight c4 and take this pawn on a3, but from what I can see, if you play knight c4, for example, I have bishop takes d5. If you take on a3, now I even though if I take this, I think this is just a dead draw, but I can also play knight d6 and take this pawn on f7
Oh,
and keep the
yeah.
game going. So I think, by the way, some moves have happened. Knight c4. This actually happened, and she took knight a3. Yeah, she's happy to take the draw. I think in this position, king e7 happens, king e2, and f6 is played. I think we're headed into I think our first result of the day
Mhm.
with this should be a draw very quickly.
Yeah, looks like definitely a draw. Opposite colored bishops, never really good. Let's have a quick look at the other board as well, Sahaj. Olivia Kiolbasa managed to finish her OTB game and she's playing Angel Ruth. Let's check in on how Olivia managed that.
Well, first of all, very impressed with how much time Angel has on the clock because
Uh-huh.
that's almost double the time that she has against Olivia Kiolbasa. I think she's doing spectacular so far. And judging by the position, I think I love Black's position. Although I think she's a bit exposed on the king side here, but I think it
Mhm.
kind of only helps her. If I had to choose who's gonna win here, I think Angel has a very good chance of scoring a win. But it's blitz, sorry, it's rapid, but and with fast chess, anything is possible. In this sense, what do you think? If you had to choose a color, which color would it be?
I think I would choose white here for some reason. I like white's position. I the weak e6 pawn. It's like a French defense, and you've been a connoisseur of the French as black, so you might like that setup. But just knight c3, rook a1, I like that. Easier play for white. And I don't know if it helps or not, but Kiolbasa is coming in from a 4.5 hour classical game. She has to quickly make that mindset shift, but almost like 400 points higher rated on FIDE. I think that makes Olivia a big favorite, Sanch.
Absolutely. And by the way, while this was happening, there was a move by Angel B5, which was a slight inaccuracy, and now she looks like she's in some trouble. And you might be right, yeah, because the E6 pawn is a slight problem, at least in the long term. And we can see from our blue arrow, Rook C4 is the only move for Black to have any fighting chance. I mean, oh, she doesn't find it. Rook G6 is played, and look at the bar shoot up. That's a huge mistake.
Oh,
And now Olivia seems to be doing really, really well. I think she's completely winning now.
yeah, completely. I think just Rook C6, Rook C7 coming in, she takes over. I think White definitely in the driver's seat, and she should be taking this home. But Saj, let's have a quick look at the last remaining game. Mai Narava versus Rucha Pujari. And even that game is extremely messy.
Wait, what is going on here? I feel like Black's king looks a bit exposed to me because we have the
Okay.
this beautiful combination of the queen and the knight, but the queen is under attack as well. There's bishop h6 check on the horizon. Okay,
Mhm.
and the king moves, I'm guessing, to g8. That makes the most sense to me. King f7 can be possible as well, just to keep, hold of the f6 pawn. And both players having just about 2 minutes on the clock, no increment. So blunders can happen very easily.
Blunders galore, and Sahaj, Mitra and I think you Usmak have drawn their first game, so they've started on game two already. We'll stick with game one of these players, but Sahaj, I think on all three remaining boards, all three results possible. This is
Oof.
what they're playing for quarterfinals of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. We are in the knockout challengers of the women's section.
Beautiful, beautiful. By the way, King G8 played by Rucha. I think the best move in the position. There is Bishop takes F8, but I also somehow like this move Bishop D2 quite a lot because I can take
Mhm.
this knight and somehow I can put pressure on the F6 pawn. Wow, she goes Rook takes E3. Look at
Tricky.
this. If Queen takes E3, chat. What is the move? Queen takes E3. It's a blunder, but why?
Yeah, it's a blunder. Bishop c4 check coming in, and that's going to be GG. Chad, we have less time. Otherwise, I would have let you answer that. And yes, Faustino Oro also makes a debut. Music is absolutely right. He'll be playing in the Prodigy sections. We'll check that out when after the women and the open section. But Sahaj, games are ending thick and fast. Let's quickly jump into Jessie's game again because she has blundered and looks like Padmini is back in the game.
Oof, and this is going to hurt her because now the difference between these two players is in just over a minute, and there's no increment on the clock. And there's a psychological aspect to this as well because you know that the position was winning for you, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to accept a draw after something like this. So I think this looks a bit challenging, let's say, for Jesse in this situation. Although Queen A1 and just start giving some checks and hope for a repetition because if the time, by the way, 42 seconds on the clock, she might. Ooh, that's a blunder. Big blunder by Jesse right there. Queen D4 check answers, and now B7 is just hanging. No more checks on the clock. This is just a result of I think having low time. Yeah, what do you think?
Low time and the pressure, the stakes are super high. Even though the eval bar drops ahead 30 moves, just 30 seconds to make so many moves, I think it's GG's for Jesse. And it's a brutal format, Chad. One mistake can cost you the tournament and you might be out. But we'll check out, we'll stick to this game's edge to the end of this game because I think White now threatening Rook takes pawn check, and that can happen.
She goes Rook B7. I think still a very good move. Rook F7 was also very good. And yeah, I think this game is already over. You can see Jessie smiling there. I think she realizes that it was winning for her in the past, but with that one mistake, it can just turn things around really quickly. She has 12 seconds on the clock. It's just about to be over. You take the rook, you play Queen C4, attack the. Oh, Queen D6 is also very clean. Of course, she cannot
Yeah.
accept the trade. She goes Queen E8, just Queen D4 or something. Just don't allow any checks. And okay, Jesse's just gonna lose on time here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if White just makes about 10, 15 logical, simple moves, the clock is going to run out, and that's going to be GG's. And let's quickly check in on the other results. Kiol Basa has won her game against Angel Root, even though I'm hearing she started out with a 4-minute penalty on the clock for reaching late, but she still
Wow.
managed to win. So kudos to Kiol Basa on that. Can we have a quick look at my Narva's game? Because she's beating Rucha Pujari.
Oh, there we go. This is the current position. By the way, that king was looking a bit scary, and now rightfully so. Rook C7 check, and the game is over.
Check.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a
The game is
checkmate in
over.
one. My Narva wins. So, and also, I think, yeah, we have all four results. So, quickly to sum it up, my Narva beats Rucha, Padmini beats Jesse February, Osmak and Mitra drew that opposite colored bishop endgame, and lastly, Kiolbasa beat Angel Root. Sahaj, no time to rest. We are back with game two. So, let's jump in. Which board sounds exciting to you?
I think we're on Jesse versus Padmini right now. Just want to see how this opening plays out, and then I would love to go into Olivia versus Angel because I think that's also a very interesting matchup. I want to see how the players bounce back after their first loss, yeah, because that completely changes the dynamic of the
Mhm.
game itself. So it would be quite fun to see. So far, the position looks pretty balanced to me. I think it's some Alapin system that happened, and yeah, it looks like Padmini is quite comfortable in this position. It looks kind of equalish. Shall we
Mhm.
jump to Olivia versus Angel?
Yeah, let's go there. And reminding Chad, it's a two-game mini match. 1.5 points is enough. We saw in the last week, players with the lead tried to play more solid chess, more defensive chess. But we see the strategy continues here. But says if you are, trailing, It doesn't matter if you lose 2-0. So for Angel here, Angel has to go out for the win, and she goes with your favorite London System.
Exactly. This is a lesson for the chat right there. That if you're trailing in any tournament, play the London. That's what's going to get you the win. So I'm rooting for Angel here to get her, so for it to be 1-1 and for it to be a tie break just because it's London, I absolutely love this variation. And I think by the way, just taking away all the bias, I genuinely think that white has a pretty comfortable position here because you have this knight d2 incoming. At some point, if black decides to castle, let's say black goes bishop e7 and short castle, then you might have some g4 h4 g5 because black has given you this hook on h6, which is not the most comfortable thing to do as black in this position. So either Olivia holds castling for a long time or maybe tries to go long castle, or she challenges the e5 knight. Yeah, that's also possible. Wait. Is knight takes f7 possible here?
Oh. The bar didn't shoot up, so I'm not sure about that, Sage.
I know she's thinking about this move right now. I
Yeah,
can.
I think the king has just enough cover to run to g8. So
Mhm.
we'll let Angel think on this sacrifice. But Saj, can we quickly go to Mitra's game because that game started the first. Mitra down under 5 minutes.
Ooh, okay. So 2 minute difference between these two players. Slightly more comfortable positions for Yulia so far. I'm guessing it's because of White's. It's not really a bad pawn structure, but I would say it's a bit exposed, especially because the golden pawn on f2 has been moved. It weakens the king a little bit, and also this pawn on c4. I think is something that black can target in the longer run. And also, this is a great point that you mentioned that she has a huge time disadvantage because once that clock hits below 1 minute 30 seconds, it really starts to play with your mind. So I think Mitra might be in some trouble here. But what is if you could predict the result of this game, what would it be? Just one word. What do you think?
Draw.
Draw. No, man. No.
Yeah,
No.
I
I
think
think
so.
someone's gonna win for sure. Let's go.
Probably. I think Mitra just has enough compensation, and there's so much at stake. You don't
Mhm.
want to be going home like this. And since this was a featured match for a reason, most closely contested matchup, and you never know, we might have Armageddon for this game.
That's a good point there. By the way, she goes queen to e4, placing the queen in the center and sort of securing that knight on e5. She goes bishop to f8, a nice retreat, but I'm not sure is she just wanting to take on e5 and then after f takes e5 that bishop on d6 is no longer under attack. Maybe that's her plan. But it's just a waiting game. Yeah, who's gonna capture the knight first? If white captures the knight, probably it favors black. If black captures the knight, it favors white. So it's more of a waiting game. See, h3 and h6, they're just waiting. You capture, no, you capture. That's what the situation is right now.
Yeah, waiting games, but someone who can't wait is Rucha Pujari because she is in a must-win situation, Sahaj. So let's check in on Rucha. Can she turn it around and beat my Narva?
Ooh, okay. I think this is the type of position you want if you want to play for a win. Yeah, you go f4,
Yeah.
e5, and you just launch the attack on the king side. Maybe bring the queen to h5, throw some bishop h7 check. I mean, this is what we want to see. I think it might be something. But okay, the bar doesn't really like Rucha's position right now, but I think practically, I'm not so sure. I still think she maintains some chances. Bishop b1 played, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. I think having three minor pieces, you want to throw pawn to f4, pawn to e5, and open the diagonal as you showed, Sahaj. And I feel Rucha definitely in with a chance. And she's streaming the game as well. So hoping her fans get to see her win live on camera. And to wrap it up, Sahaj, if we can also check in with Padmini versus Jesse, because looks like Jesse is slightly better. Comeback incoming, maybe.
Ooh, as soon as we switched, she committed a
Uh-oh.
slight inaccuracy with bishop to g5 apparent. Oh, wait, what?
What?
Okay, I don't think that's a blunder. I think the it's being a bit harsh. I feel like still this is a decent position. At least she has some compensation. It's not losing yet for Padmini, but wow, what a huge blunder there because she didn't have to play e takes d4. She could have just gone f6 and it would just be fine. But she chooses to be aggressive here.
Yeah, Padmini just having thought for 1 minute against a woman international master. Maybe she's just playing on Jesse's clock. She's playing too fast ahead. And, sometimes it may work, but other times it might just be the reason you have to play an Armageddon.
Exactly. But, I mean, it's a great point because 22 moves have been played and she's still at 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So clearly, I think it's a bit too fast for my taste. But, and also the position now is very, very good for white in this. By the way, huge mistake by Padmini. And again, a very good example of why the golden pawn should not be touched because
Hmm.
f5, it weakens the king, your king. I get her plan. She wants to play g5, but the moment Jesse goes for h4, this pawn structure is not ideal because at any moment Jesse can break with h5, and this pawn on f5 can be a source of worry. And she plays h4.
Wow, I think H5 looking like such a nice move from white, softening up black's pawn structure, and I think we might see a comeback here in this game. Sahaj, I'm checking out any other games. Let's also have a quick check-in with Angel in the London system. Angel might be beating Kiolbasa and giving us the second comeback of the day.
Yep, absolutely. And by the way, short castle, the only move in this position, but it's not an easy move to play because you're sacrificing the pawn on c3. But in such a position, you don't have to think about material. You have to think more about development. How to get your king safe, forget about the pawn, try to develop as quickly as possible and go for the attack.
Sahaj,
Because
sorry to cut you, but forget about this game because I want you to jump in to Yulia Osmak's game because Mitra has just blundered and Osmak is completely winning.
oh, wait, let's just go back here. This was the current position and she was completely fine and she goes rook takes
Yeah,
c3 and now this is dead lost. Attack with his mate in one threatened. Oh, because you cannot play rook g3 because this bishop is hanging on d4.
correct. She tries to defend both with Queen F3, and if you could get Yulia's camera, then that would be really nice. This is Olivia on screen. So King goes up. Sahaj, what's the final blow?
Rook a1, we don't have to wait for it. She's showing us the way because queen h1 check and this king is now in a lot of danger. This bishop also can join in on the attack with bishop d6. Queen h1 check only move, but okay, this is a very simple one. I think this is why you played rook a1 and queen b1 and she plays it. The next move should be bishop d6 and this could mean that
Uh-huh.
Mitra is knocked out. It's a -5 position. This is not good for Mitra.
Yeah, and you can see Yulia Osmak on the camera. She can sense its edge. She knows it's winning, and she's just waiting for the final punch. Like Queen E1 check, Bishop D6 pin, and when we have heard, I think sadly these are the final minutes of Mitra in the third edition of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League.
Absolutely. And bishop d6, look at this, a brilliancy played on the board. I think the
Wow.
same idea that you were mentioning that if, let's say, white goes rook takes b6 and just takes the
So
pawn,
what if I capture your rook? Can we show that to chat, please? Bishop takes A1.
bishop takes a1, there is queen takes, simple. Queen takes
Beautiful.
a1 and you just lose this
Wow.
pawn on, sorry, the knight on e5 very easily. But I think the even more important here is that if you go rook takes b6, I have
Mhm.
just bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, and queen e1 check, and you're going to lose the bishop or you're going to put your king on f4. And neither of those are good options.
Yeah, that's going to be GG's. Mitra tries Queen F5. Can she stay alive, Sahaj? Any chances you reckon for Mitra to stay alive in the match?
I think the only chance is if she somehow finds a repetition in this position, like with Queen C8 and Queen F5 check, something like that. But I would also be favoring Mitra in this situation if she had more time. If you can just reverse the time, yeah, Mitra having 3 minutes and Yulia having 1 minute on the clock, then maybe there are some chances. But right now, it does not look pleasant for her. By the way, Rook A2, she plays threatening Queen takes G2. So White has to defend it. Maybe Queen F3. She's hoping for a repetition. Queen F5 check again. Oh, but
But
there is
that's
G6.
black has G6. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That's over. Oof, and played. And played. I think this is GG for Mitra. I think this is basically game over. Okay, Queen F3 she plays. Oh, by the way, it would be very interesting for the chat. Like if you played Rook D2 in this position, according to the bar, at least it's mate in 15. Just Rook D2. Any other
wow.
move is not mate in 2, but Rook D2 is mate in 2 for some reason. Oh, by the way, Knight H5 check also works because you're just losing the queen by force. Oh, she plays Queen E1. Okay, she's just going for the knight, and I
Nice and
think
easy.
that's
Pick
simple
up the
enough.
piece and Mitra Ejazim, who lost in game one. in the last weekend, but made an amazing comeback. Today, sadly said, this is the format. There's no time for Mitra to make a comeback because she is out, whereas Yulia Osmak looks like qualifies for Saturday's semifinals, that is tomorrow.
Absolutely. Oh, she's still playing on. Yeah. I mean, I think,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think, I
game
mean,
is on.
because there is no more hope and you just want to play on as much as you can, hoping for that one mistake. But okay, this is just a simple piece up, and Yulia is not going to mess this up anymore. So I think we can safely say Yulia has qualified into the semifinals. By the way, let's maybe switch back to Angel's game because it looks like she might be, equalizing uh, the scoreboard here. Oh, oh as soon as we switch to a board, it's like there is a mistake happening. What's going on? Because this was the position. If she found f5 here, she's close to winning. But e takes d5
Yeah,
looks like a very natural move, and that's a huge blunder. And now she's lost again.
he's lost against Edge. They call it the commentator's curse, very
Oof.
famously. Bishop d5. Now, the problem is bishop takes f3 on the board can be very difficult for white to deal with, and the knight can jump back on the bishop square or jump ahead to d3. Sahaj, 2 minutes for Angel. Do you think any chances for her comeback, or Olivia has this in the bag?
Again, I think it all comes down to how much time you have on the clock. I think if you
Uh-huh,
don't have
uh-huh.
enough time, then I think there is not much room for mistakes from Olivia's side. But it was a good fight. I think it was a very good position. But yeah, that e takes d5 really sort of ruined the attack for her. And this bishop on d5 is now a monster. This is a London position, and the London bishop is missing. We need that bishop to have any attack in the game, but sadly, it's not there.
Absolutely. And Sahaj, I want to bring your attention to an amazing game that's going on between Jesse and Padmini. Jesse with just 1 minute, chances of a comeback, but only time, very little time on the clock.
Ooh, 5 minute difference is huge. Wait, is she a rook up?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Oh, wait, rook d3.
Oh, she
That
blunders.
the commentator's curse. What and another blunder on the board? What's going on?
And Padmini, a draw is enough for her to go through. Jessie has to win on demand. She's unable to, and she blunders. Queen
Oof,
h1
oof.
check. Rook takes g2. That's going to be GG, Sahaj. And
Yeah,
that
I
is,
think this is a psychological thing, I think, because she kept playing for the win, even though she needed a draw. And with that, she was making a bunch of mistakes, but I think it paid off, yeah, because Jessie had to find Queen f3. And if she did that, then she would just be a piece up. And now it's just over.
yeah, and the knight, is a good defender against the king, but knights in the center not really good. The knight had to be on f3. The queen is on f6 near black's king's edge. Any chance for Jesse to make a comeback?
There is Queen h5 check, and that's a checkmate. So
Oh,
sadly,
oh my
because the bishop
God.
very smartly controls the c1 square
Oh
and the
my
rook controls the
God.
c2 square, so queen h5 check is just game over here. And very strange, Padmini is thinking in this moment, before she was playing so quickly, but now she's in deep thought here.
Yeah, we let her finish the checkmate, Sahaj, and looks like it's the last moments for Jesse. Let's check in with Rucha, how she's doing against my Narva.
This was the position. Rucha on 0 out of 1, so she has to win. But looking like
Oh,
this
very tough.
position, you just have two free pawns. You can just push them all the way. The best she can hope for is a draw, but okay, that's also not possible in this position. I think this means my Narva also has qualified. And I think, oh, by the way, Queen H5 found by Padmini as well. And I think that's a resignation by Jesse because now the game is completely over. So Jesse is now out. And now Rucha, I think, is on the verge of elimination.
The hedge. Do you want me to blow your mind?
No, no, I just saw it. I just saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
We'll
just
stick
saw
to
it.
this game. We'll stick to
Yeah.
this game, but an unbelievable comeback has happened in the other game. We'll go to that game, but it looks like we will have an Armageddon after all, Saj.
You were absolutely right to make that prediction. Yeah, the one Armageddon match incoming for you, Chad, because this comeback is insane. And once this game is finished, we can go back and we can circle back to exactly when the comeback happened.
Mhm.
But yeah, here I think it's very less likely. The best she can hope for is some kind of stalemate. But okay, this is just F2 F1, and I think she can just resign here basically.
Yeah, and hello to Newton's backyard. Nice to see you in chat. And Keshav Chandra Das, welcome to the stream. You will be seeing Faustino Oro playing at 11 p.m. Indian Standard Time, so do stick around for that. And we'll have the men's board as well. But before that, we might see the only Armageddon on the women's section. Sahaj, what an amazing comeback and a half by Mitra Hejaziyapur. Take it away, Sahaj. Let's show chat what really happened in that game.
So it was around this was the position, and Yulia has basically a free knight. And we can go back a bit earlier as well because it was around this moment, and you can see that Mitra doesn't even have an extra pawn in this position. Yeah, black is just a piece up. I think if you play something like knight d7, this position is just completely winning. But Mitra sends something and she continues to play on. And basically, she got these two pawns. And of course, it is still completely winning for black. She goes king f3, rook c3 check
Sahaj,
happens, king goes to f2.
sorry to interject. Also, have a keep an eye on the clock timings, chat. Like 16
Ooh,
seconds versus 2 minutes. And yeah, sorry, continue, Sahaj.
that is insane. It's a very great point to mention because she has 16 seconds on the clock here. 15 with king e2. Black plays f5. She just pushes the pawn all the way. I mean, in at this moment, you're just thinking, can I just take this and can I just take this and just play on time at this point? But that
Yeah.
doesn't happen. She goes rook c2. King e3 happens. The best move in the position. King f7. She plays g4. Another best move in the position. Knight g3 happens. She goes gf5. A slight inaccuracy. Black goes knight takes f5, king to e4, and now she misses a beautiful tactic, which is rook takes c4, rook takes c4, and knight takes d6, and the king pawn ending is completely winning for uh,
Mhm.
for Yulia here. But she misses this, and this was her chance, and she plays rook f2 instead and allows. She didn't play king e5. King e5 was completely drawn here, but okay, with 11 seconds on the clock, it's very
Yeah, yeah.
difficult to sort of see these things. She goes c5, king e6. She plays d7 check. King takes d7. 10 seconds on the clock, by the way, for Mitra. Rook f6 happens. Knight g3 check. King e5. Rook takes f6, and this was the huge blunder. I think because the time was so low, I think she
Mhm.
assumed that this position would be winning, but all she had to do was keep the rooks, just play rook c2, rook c5, and basically even if the position is not winning, you would have won on time regardless. But she makes a huge error here and goes rook f6, king f6, and now the king can simply chop both of these pawns down, and there is no room uh, to play for a win here anymore. Knight e4 happens, king g6, you take this pawn, and then it's very simple with 6 seconds on the clock.
Wow. What a recap there. Really appreciate you breaking down that for us, Grandmaster Grover. But what a throw, what a choke by Yulia Osmak. She had it
Oof.
in her bag. She's completely thrown it out. And now, problem is, chat, she has to go back to the drawing board and start it from scratch. And we'll have our first Armageddon of the day. So it's going to be black. The black player will have the draw odds. White has to win on demand.
Yep, and I think they'll start the bidding process to see who's gonna play with black and who's gonna play with white. So we'll stay tuned for that and see what happens there. But yeah, what a throw here, honestly. Because I mean, just judging by the situation alone, if you go back to this moment, white has 9 seconds on the clock, black has 26 seconds. I mean, even if you just start giving checks, like rook e2, rook d2, and if you just keep the rooks on the board, you would flag your opponent for sure. Right. So it just feels like it was a poor decision on Yulia's side to go rook takes f6 in this position. But yeah, props to Mitra for actually continuing to play this game on despite being a piece down from from like 20 moves ago or so. So great fight by Mitra there.
And you know what? This might be just the game that, gets her on the flight to Mumbai, Sahaj, because all the players are playing for that is the grand prize that they want. And I just hope, we'll have an exciting Armageddon and it should be very, very fun.
Absolutely. We're still waiting. Will we know the bids? Yes, we will know the bids as soon as they're out. I think they're doing the bidding process and the game should start immediately after. So stay tuned, guys. I think we will know it very shortly.
Yeah, and producer ji, could you let me know your Chesscom username? So we can, yeah, I've given Sahaj's awesome. So yeah, I think should be able to see the games we missed out in for game one of
By
the
the
season.
way,
So
the games are live. Games are live.
yeah, yeah,
I think she chose 7 minutes and some 40 seconds or something like that. Please correct me, Rakesh bhai here, but
that's
I think
correct.
that
That's
was
correct.
somewhere around that she chose. So Mitra is playing with the white pieces and she has to play for a win, and Yulia just has to hold a draw.
Yeah, and I don't know psychologically how tough it is for uh, Yulia, where she had it in the back but has thrown it away. But Mitra should feel the momentum is on her side. She has extra time, but has to win on demand. In case of a draw, Yulia goes through Sahaj.
I feel that after the events of the second match that we just witnessed, I feel it is much easier to have to hold a draw than to play for a win, because
Mhm.
if you're in that mindset where you had a winning position and it didn't go your way, then it can really mess with your sort of because you feel that you're not winning on demand, and I feel like if to hold a draw is much easier in this scenario for her. So I think choosing black and going for this color, I think really is a good decision by Julia here. And by the way, she's having a great position so far. White has an IQP. The pawn on d4 is the culprit of the position. The bishop on d2, as you can see, is completely stopped by its own pawn. And how you assess this is for the chat, how you assess whether an IQP position is good or bad is by just looking at the square above it. This is the d4 pawn and this is the d5 square. Whoever controls this d5 square better is going to have a good position. Basically, here you can see white just has one piece sort of putting pressure on the d5 square, but black has one, two, three, four. So this is why black has a slight advantage in this position. By the way, bishop d6 was an inaccuracy, but still I would prefer to be black here. What do you think, Rakesh bhai?
Same, same. Love playing with and against the IQB, but in this IQB, the White's position is slightly, unorganized in a way. I feel not really having a plan of playing on either side of the position. Normally, White loves to, attack on the right side of the board. That's the king side. But I feel Mitra's pieces are just not coordinated enough. And yeah, this is
Hmm.
an Armageddon. White has to win on demand, as we know. Julia as black just needs a draw. And just to quickly give Chad a reminder, Padmini Raut is through to tomorrow's semis, 2-0 win. Mainarva is through with a 2-0 win, and Olivia is also through. Sahaj, we are searching for our fourth and final semi-finalist. I'll put you on the spot. Predict the winner of this match.
I'm gonna say Mitra because I just feel that what happened
Oh,
last time in the previous match, that really probably put Yulia in a, let's say, in a very uncomfortable state of mind, and I think that's gonna play out well for Mitra because she knew she was lost. Mitra knew she was lost, and then still she managed to salvage the situation somehow. And even though the position was not amazing for her just a few moves ago, I think the pieces are sort of combining well together. The queen can join on h3. White can play a4 just to solidify the pawn structure, put some pressure on the h7, g7, f7 pawns. And I think Mitra has a good chance of winning this game so far. What do you think?
if you're picking Mitra, I'll pick Yulia for this one.
Mhm.
Just let's see what chat has
Diplomacy,
to
huh?
say. Yeah, yeah. And hello, Akhilesh. Hello, Pratik as well. I think Akhilesh's friend, Harshal Patel, is going to take on Ab- Abhimanyu Puranik later on today in the men's section. So nice of friends to, chat. And hello, Shantam Lahane, also in the chat. Nice to see you all on this Super Friday where we are seeing the quarterfinals. It's a hedge. You know, all three results possible here, and we will see a fight till the wire in this one here. 1.5 minutes time difference.
Absolutely. By the way, she did offer a repetition a few moves ago in this
Yeah,
position
yeah.
where she went to queen h6 and queen h4. So Yulia is sort of saying, I'm okay with a draw, but Mitra cannot accept the draw because a draw would be a loss for her. So she has to keep on fighting. She has to keep on playing for the win. And she has to take with the deep pawn, by the way. Get rid of that.
Yep.
IQP in the position and continue with the attack. Again, I really like this position. By the way, knight h5, a slight inaccuracy by
Uh-oh.
Yulia, and now the ball is in Mitra's court. I feel that now she has a genuine chance of winning this game.
I do as well, Oh, Bishop E4. I also thought, even now, even after Bishop E4, White could just throw the knight to D6, like give up a pawn, but opening the line of that beautiful bishop here. So that is a possibility for White. 5.5 minutes for Yulia, but the knight on H5 is kind of offside, Sahaj.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by this move. Why she chose knight h5 instead of knight d5? Because this knight doesn't have much use here. And you are right to say this knight d6 move looks really tempting to play. Just to throw everything at your opponent and see what sticks at the end of the day. But yeah, the computer seems to like the move rook takes d8. Rook takes d8. So once the rook moves from the c8 file, it doesn't attack the c4 knight anymore, and you can just play a4 and defend the pawn on b5. This way, everything is protected. But she goes for knight d6, the more aggressive option. Let's go. The game is on.
Love it. Love to see this, closed piece opening up. I had read somewhere, when a closed piece opens, it comes with double power, double vengeance, taking revenge for all that, reserved energy. And said, look at that beautiful bishop on B2. My, my,
Oof.
my.
Oof, this bishop is beautiful. It's like that London bishop, but on steroids. Like I feel this bishop is so powerful because of Black's pawn structure, which is all fixed on the light squares. Okay, she goes queen b5. By the way, rook takes d6 was a huge blunder here. Just want to show this to the chat because we have rook dc1 and you just lose a rook. GG, game
Yep.
over. But she doesn't fall for it. She goes queen b5, and the game is still on. Mitra technically a pawn down right now, but it's like you cannot ask for more when you are
Mhm.
just a pawn down. Yeah, you cannot ask for more compensation. I think she has everything she wants. Beautiful queen, beautiful bishop, the pass pawn on d6, all the pieces are working super well together. Right now she just has to defend this bishop on b2. Perhaps rook d2 can be a good move.
Yeah, I like rook D2 doubling. She goes for the mate threat. Queen H8 was a checkmate. Queen has to drop back now. I think Sahaj, more than the compensation, I think Mitra is just happy to be alive, happy to get another chance, another crack at this. But I also like Queen takes pawn. Is that possible?
I think it is because, but you also don't want to play it because you see this attack on the king side, and once you eliminate the queens, then the attacking chances sort of become zero pretty much, and then you're pretty much playing on the power of the d6 pawn, which might not be an easy decision, from a player's perspective. So I'm not. Oh, she doesn't go for it. She does not
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to exchange queens here.
And chat, Mitra started off with a 3 minute advantage for the Armageddon. The clocks are almost equal now, both players having 4.5 minutes. But nerves are going to tell in the end. Knight goes back to f6. Mitra attacks Black's queen's edge. Action is heating up.
Yep, she's just trying to sidestep the queen so she can take the e5 pawn for free. So Yulia has to. Oh, by the way, queen f5 was not the best move because now I can take queen f5 and your pawns are sort of doubled on the a file, and I take the pawn on e5.
Hmm.
This is a much better version of the endgame, and now I think she should take the queen on a5.
Mitra evaluating that chances. I think she should go for that. And Achilles in the chat, Abhiman and Harshil are both my friends, so very difficult to pick. That's absolutely true. We'll be having those games, the men's section starting out just in less than 5 minutes. Edge. Queen G5 played.
Wow,
She
she is adamant that she does not want to trade off queens, and this could work. This is definitely some psychological play here because when you're playing for a win, you want to keep the queens alive because you want to have that chance to, create that deadly attack on the king side, and that's what she's hoping for. By the way, the next move is very difficult for Yulia to find. She has to find queen b4 here, or else she is, let's say, in a bit of trouble. Like I'm not sure if that's an understatement because none of the other pieces are moving, and she finds it.
wow.
Very impressive
Kudos,
from Yulia here.
kudos. Absolutely. And she finds the best move. And now, Saj, is it time for Mitra to capture? And she
Absolutely.
does.
Better late than never. Let's go. Bishop takes e5 taken. Black has to capture back on e5. Okay, and she does. Queen takes e5. And now, okay, we don't have that active bishop anymore, but we do have this pawn on d6, which can be a problem in the future. Let's see, rook a c1 perhaps. That's what the best move is, but it's not an easy move to spot on the board because the point is that if you go rook c1, black goes rook takes c1, rook takes c1, and you cannot touch this d6 pawn because we have rook c8 check. It's not a check, it's a checkmate. So, she doesn't play it. She goes rook d4.
Yeah, the more human you want to protect the side pawn on a4 and try to double your rooks, but queen
Hmm.
c5, queen trade, no chance for white.
No chance. She goes queen f4. She wants to keep the position alive for as long as possible. By the way, the time is also balanced now. So this is gonna go
Uh-oh.
down to seconds. What an exciting match. Let's go.
Semi-final spots ahead. So many things are, up for grabs here. You have a chance to come to Mumbai for the GCL as well, but she makes a mistake.
Oh, and she doesn't
Ooh.
capitalize. She had to find rook c1. Wow. Okay, that was not an easy move to play, but still very, very. I think the tricks are working here. Yeah, she has to play g4. Let's go g4 h5. Attack on the king side. Just throw everything that you
But
have.
I like what White is doing. Just keep the pressure, play a few fast moves. There is nothing Black can do to break free, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
make a few fast moves with the king, or just keep adding the pressure. And once Black's clock is below 1.5 minutes, then you strike with G4 or your
Mm.
ideas.
In classical chess, this would be a fantastic. Oh, by the way, that's a huge mistake because rook takes d6 is just working.
Uh, uh,
That's a rapid. Oh, she doesn't see it. She does. Okay, that was
oh
not an
my
easy thing to
god.
spot, but you see, Mitra immediately found it and she goes king g2 because she knew she missed rook f2 there. Wow, what a
Yeah,
find there by her. Do I
plus
detect a smile
1.7.
from Mitra? I think I just
Yeah.
detected a smile from her because she knew that was a mistake. By the way, another mistake. Queen takes g4. There's queen c6 happening, and now she is back on the driver's seat, and the game is equal.
Win and win, as they say. And producer, if you could have both the cameras side by side, that would be really nice for this Armageddon game. So we could have, yes, perfect. We see Yulia on the left playing with the black pieces and Mitra playing the white pieces on the right.
Absolutely. By the way, queen takes g4 was the culprit here. She had to ignore this pawn, play rook c3, which is definitely not an easy move to play, or just go with h5, which I think is something that I would have done here, just to go for the attack. Queen g4 was the mistake because after queen f3, black can now just take on d6 without any worry, and this is just a dead draw.
Yeah, the rooks are getting traded. Even the queens are, I think, forcefully getting traded. And we'll be left with the rook endgame Sahaj, 3 pawns each. You see Yulia relaxing. She knows the job is done, but she also thought it last time. But now we are in a queen endgame Sahaj.
Queen endgame, but I think black has a lot of perpetual check opportunities here. So let's queen f4, queen f4, queen g4 check, for example. How do you even avoid? The queen is stuck. It cannot really defend the king anymore. It's kind of stuck on the corner, and the king cannot escape the checks. So I think this is just gonna be a draw. She doesn't need to take any pawns. Don't complicate the game anymore. Just give checks. White cannot survive this, basically.
Yeah, and we see the cameras. Yulia, and the draw is agreed. Yulia Osma qualifies to the semis. She gave herself and her fans, her family, a big scare, allowing Mitra to draw the game in normal time, but wins the Armageddon with a draw. Sahaj, with that, we have our semi-finalists for the women's section. I'll just quickly read out the pairings. So it's Yulia Osmak versus Padmini. Tomorrow, it's other semi-finals for the women and the open section. So Yulia versus Padmini is matchup one, and Mai Narva versus Olivia is the other match.
Crazy. What a finish, I would say. What a finish. And Mitra was so close, towards the end there because she had almost a winning position, I would say, ar- around this moment. And just G4 she finds perfectly. She just had to go H5 and the game was just, it could have gone, it definitely could have gone her way. But yeah, taking the pawn back on G4 is what costed her the point here. But yeah, what a game.
Exactly says, H5 could have gotten her to tomorrow's semifinal. Who knows the flight to Mumbai as well. But Mitra, kudos to how she played. She'll be proud of that. And all the all the losers of today's matches will receive $350. So GG's to them, well played. And the semifinals will move on to tomorrow's day. Sahaj, we'll have the men's section very, very soon. So, on that note, we'll go in for a very, very short break and see you on the other side with four 2,600 grandmasters. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, chat. And we have the men's section of the GCL Contenders Road to GCL Knockout Challenges this time. And Sedge, welcome back. We have a Grandmaster in the house who will be commentating on other Grandmasters. So we have eight main contenders. This is a quarterfinal, Sedge. Let us know which matchup sounds the most exciting to you.
So we have, I think, eight players and four matches. I think for me, I think the one that is the closest is the one on the screen right now between Jospem. Can we call him Jospem or should I call him Jose? Or I feel like on
Anything.
chess.com we always call him Jospem. Yeah.
Joss Swimmer works also.
So
Yeah,
yeah, Jospem versus Dipta and Ghosh, which I think is the sort of the star matchup for us today, because I think these players are pretty close to each other. Although Jospem does have, I think, a pretty sizable advantage when it comes to fast chess, because he's one of the best players in the world when it comes to that. By the way, we do have liftoff with E4 and C6, and with the
let's
other games, by the way,
go.
there's Benjamin versus Aradhya Garg, Abhimanyu Puranik versus Harshal Patil, and Andrew Tang versus um, I'm seeing the username, but what is his actual name, Rakesh
Alok.
bhai? Alok Sinha, right?
Alok Sinha. Yeah,
Got it, got it.
2200. And as we will check out all the games, the hedge, quick reminder to everyone in chat, it's the third weekend, the last and final weekend, the knockout challengers of the Global Chess League. We have eight players, one of whom will be coming to Mumbai for the GCL as the brand ambassador for season three. So as we see Deeptan Ghosh, Grandmaster level camera, he's playing the black pieces, and he was the qualifier last weekend, Sahaj. And let's quickly walk through the invited players. So Jose, Benjamin Book, Andrew Tang, and Abhimanyu Puranik were the invitees, and Deep Tayar, Aradhya Garg, Alok Sinha, and Harshal Patil were the qualifiers from last week.
Got it, got it, got it. So, by the way, I mean, apart from I think Jospam versus Dipta and Ghosh, I think among all the other three boards, I still see a very big sort of rating difference when it comes to
Yeah,
on paper at least. So, I think those players would have a slight advantage. Although I have to give it to Aradhya Gar because he's been performing spectacularly. I think so far this year. So he is full of surprises. I think he can surprise us with a win here against Benjamin Bok. It is possible, but let's see what happens. So, which game do you want to go to first, Rakesh?
I think we can check out Aradhya's game as well. And shout out to Aradhya who beat Mitraba Goa actually in the last qualifier. So he beat him
Wow.
in the last weekend. Yeah. And Harshal Patel also pulled off an upset and managed to beat, I think it was Suyo Wag. So these two were the
Wow.
big upsets of last week, and everyone in with a chance is the same prize money as the women. So all players guaranteed $350, but everyone is playing for the Saturday semi-final spots hedge, wherein you get a chance to come to Mumbai. So let's quickly check in on that board. Benjamin Book, we can see he's I think probably also streaming to his fans. And I think Harshal Patel is also streaming as Benny sips some coffee in, I think he's in the US, if I'm not mistaken, right now.
Oh, I see. I see. By the way, Bishop A3 is what he plays here instead of Bishop. And if Black went Rook, he played Rook D8, which is the correct move. If he went Rook E8, Bishop takes D5, GG. Because you cannot capture as the
Oh
Queen
yeah.
is taking the E8 Rook over here. So it was a nice tactic by Benjamin, nicely spotted by Aradhya Garg as well. He doesn't fall for it, and the position is slightly balanced. Although I would say that slight preference to White, simply because I think White's queen is better placed. The bishop on a3 seems to be better placed to its compatriot on c8. Everything else seems to be pretty much balanced. He goes queen a6, offering the queen trade. And now we're jumping into some end game, which I'm not sure if White has that advantage anymore. What do you think about this position, Rakesh?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of advantage for either player, but I think it's like a great position for Benjamin because it's like, one of those two result positions where either white wins or it's a draw. So zero pressure for Benjamin, and I think Aradhya is going to put up to his best to defend this one.
Absolutely, and I think he's doing a wonderful job so far, also maintaining that time advantage, which is going to, help him during the end phase of the game. We saw in the women's section how many times that time can be, such a major factor
Yeah,
in
yeah.
such in 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 such type of format. So while he thinks, maybe let's quickly jump to what's happening between Jospem versus Dipten, because it looks like Jospem is cruising here. He has this wonderful knight on d4, and Black has this sort of this bad bishop on b7,
Mhm.
and just doesn't feel nice to play this position as Black.
Yeah, not at all. I think deep time playing from Paris, France is what I'm hearing, because he and the Indian, his teammates managed to win the World Railways Championship. So the Indian
Oh.
Railways managed to win that. So that's some good news. So deep time coming in from with some hot form. But yeah, Saj, you're absolutely right. Josh Pem is a different beast out there. So very, very tough to beat him. But yeah, all eyes on this one.
I played Jospin about 10 days ago, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
felt it. Yeah, the whole game, I was trying to, put some pressure, but towards the end, it felt like I wasn't playing Jose. Felt like I was playing Jospin because he started making moves so quickly. He and and he had some difficult decisions to make, especially when you're defending, but he wasn't thinking. He was playing purely on instinct, and I think that's what sets him apart from rest of the other players, because he's, I think, intuitively an amazing chess player, maybe one of the best when it comes to fast chess in today's world. So, and you're seeing that even here as well. I mean, the position is, it is just a dream position for White. I feel you can do anything in this position and you would just be happy regardless.
Yeah, the black bishop on a6 on the corner of the board can't really take part. Yeah, it goes back to its birth square, but can't really do much. I think Jospem is in a beautiful position, just wanting to break with the on the king side with g4, g5 at the right moment. So as while we have a look at the other games, just having a quick look at the chat. Mrinal says, "Hello Rakesh, my big fan." Ritik Tiwari also says, "Big fan." Shout out. Oh, shout out to you. And did any of the qualifiers win? I don't think so in the women's section. It was all the invited players who went through. So that just shows how strong these qualifiers and the invited players are. And Sahaj, on that note, let's check in with our good friend Abhimanyu Puranik, who's playing Harshal Patel.
So this is the current position. We are in some end game, and White seems to have Abhimanyu seems to have some slight advantage. I think purely because he has a superior pawn structure, and he has a bishop on the board, and the bishop is a superior piece when pawns are both on both sides of the board. So I think that's where the advantage comes. And I
Yeah.
really don't think that it is anything tangible right now. I don't think he can convert a position like this, because optically speaking, it should still be a draw. But whether he's able to hold it or not, that's a different story. Because look at the time. There's already a 3 minute difference between these two players. And that's a sign of worry for me.
Yeah, and some difficult decisions, as you were mentioning earlier, Sage. Where does the knight go? You can't come to the center. It goes to the side, but there is zero squares for the knight after it goes here. White can simply move the king up. And the knight has kind of self-trapped itself, Sahaj.
Yeah, I feel like Mitra did a very similar thing in that game. Yeah, when she went knight h5, and that was also a mistake. So I feel like this move knight h5. Chat, just avoid this move because I feel like the knight is completely on the corner and it's not able to get back into the game. Surprisingly, instead of knight h5, knight h7 would have been a better move because at least you can bring the knight back into play via f8 and e6. But here, the knight on h5 is
Mhm.
not the best piece, even though you cannot attack it at the moment because as at any point if you play g4 the f4 pawn is going to hang, but still having the knight on h5, it's almost like you're playing with one less piece on the board. So this is why I think Abhimanyu is cruising here. I feel he has a very solid chance of winning this game, especially with the time advantage as well. So while this happens, let's quickly check the game of Andrew Tang as well. This is the current position. Andrew Tang having two knights versus a bishop and knight, and now this pawn on c5 is the culprit. I'm assuming this is why Black's position is a bit worse because the pawns are not intact here. They're both isolated pawns, and also the a7 pawn can also be a problem in the future of the game. I think both of these players cruising here. I would say that Andrew Tang has a very solid chance of winning here.
Yeah, very big chance. And Andrew Tang, almost a 300 point rating favorite on the FIDE lists at 2550 versus, I think, Alok Sinha is somewhere around 2200. But Alok, what a dream, what an opportunity. And once again, our shout out to the Tech Mahindra team, the Global Chess League team, the think tank of these contenders, giving a chance to these players who also can be a part of the global chess league in a way, and maybe if they really work hard and results go in their favor, can actually be in Mumbai as a brand ambassador, Sahaj, and also maybe take part against Gukesh and the other big boys. So what an opportunity here, and big shout out to the team.
That's amazing. I think it's the players definitely know what they're fighting for, and this is why we're seeing such exciting chess. I think from both colors here. I think. Oh, by the way, quick update for you because I see the bar jumping really high for Benjamin Bok versus Aradhya Gar. So I'm gonna quickly
Uh-oh.
shift to that game, and it looks
Yeah.
like Benjamin is completely winning here. He's just a pawn up. What happened? How did he lose the pawn? Wait, I'll just go back. Wait, somehow he lost a pawn. And this was the position. He plays bishop f8
Yeah.
and then he just lost a pawn like this. Maybe bishop f8 was not the best move in the position, yeah? Okay, going back to the current game.
Yeah.
The pawn is still
Easy
intact.
pawn up.
What happened?
Mhm. In fact, Saj, it was a double pawn which has singled out now
Mhm.
e into f6 and passing. It's a legal move, Chad. That happens on the board very rarely, though. And now, Sahaj, I think this is just bread and butter for a player of Benjamin Boak's caliber.
For sure. You take the pawn on f6, rook b6. Oh, by the way, a5. Look at this beautiful move. If you capture on f6, rook
Oh,
b6, we go directly into the king pawn ending, and that seals the deal for Benjamin Bok here. If he plays a5, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to convert this.
yeah. And, Chad, reminding you all of the format, it's a two-game mini match, so one and a half is through. And, these players, if they win with one if they win game one, these players have the ability to just block off their opponents and just easily go to play a solid game to get the draw in game two.
Oof, by the way, we're going into the king pawn ending. Rook takes d6, just push c4, just fixing everything on the queen side, and you just push the g pawn down, use it as an outside passer, capture c5 and a6, and it is GG. The game is over.
Yeah, game is over. We'll quickly also check in on Abhimanyu's game, how he is doing against Harshal Patil, Sahaj. Somehow the game, it's kind of evened out. Oh, no, no, sorry, it's completely
He's
different.
a.
It's
I
3
mean,
sub. Yeah.
it was evened out some time ago because Abhimanyu did make a slight inaccuracy, but Harshal responded with a blunder some time ago, and
Oh,
now that's probably what happened. And this is the current position. Abhimanyu is just a piece up. There's not much to say here. You also have these two connected pawns. I feel even if you play a move like knight takes b5 and you just capture everything, black can just resign, and there we go, the resignation has happened, and Abhimanyu wins the first game in the men's section. By the way, Benjamin Bok also won his game as well. So two players, starting off pretty strong.
yeah, and you see Harshal, who's, I mean, this is Aradhya, but earlier Harshal, here. He's happy to be here. He's streaming to his followers as well, and he, was extremely delightful in I saw on his Instagram to go through. But yes, Edge, and a great opportunity for these players. We'll see if they can make a comeback. Remember, it's a two-game mini match, so Harshal and Aradhya are in must-win situation now.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the two games have started again, but this game is still remaining, and Jospem seems to be completely winning here because once he takes the h6 pawn, there is nothing that can stop these connected pawns from promotion. But maybe somewhere in Diptayan's mind, he's thinking, where can I put, the problems? By the way, this is a very important moment. If you didn't play Rook f6 check here and you took Rook h6, this would be a draw. So still
Oh
not
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
easy thing to spot. And but Jospem is not falling for this. He goes king h4, and I think this is easy sellings from here. Black is going to go b3. You're going to put the rook behind b2, put the king on g5. So there's no checks on g1 and h1, and then it is gg. You just push the pawn, and that's it. So all the invited
Somehow
players
it's
winning the games. Yeah.
Yeah, and somehow it's also the luck of the draw. For a strong GM like Deepan, you want to face a player like Jocelyn, but maybe in the finals. You don't
Yeah.
want him in the first game itself, but that's
You
how the
got the final
seedings
boss in
work.
the quarterfinals.
Exactly, exactly. And this it looks like it's just enough. King G5 hides behind his own pawn. It's like an umbrella method that we have learned from the
Mhm.
Dvoretsky endgame manual and pawn pushes h6, h7, h8, GG. See you in the return game, Deepta, and wishing you all the best. But Jospin taking this one.
Yep, absolutely. And by the way, props to you for quoting Dvoretsky's endgame manual. Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
I mean, props to Rakesh here. Come on. Come on, chat. That was very cool. Yeah, so I think he's basically winning the game. I think he's just calculating the final moments. I think H6 is winning. I think it seems like a very natural move. What is he thinking though? H6, King C3, H7, and Rook H3, and Rook H1, and then there's Rook H6, right? Oh, wait, he goes King H6. Interesting.
Oh, he wants to
That's
push the
also
G
simple.
pawn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just this is also simple. It's all very. By the way, the interesting point is you cannot play Rook G1 here because if you played Rook G1, I'm not going to defend the G4 pawn. I'm just going to take on B2 because guess what? You cannot go Rook G4 because of Rook B4 check,
Oh, that's
and then I
so
win the Rook.
nice.
It's a nice tactic by Jospem there.
So, and by the way, while Joseph applies the finishing touches to this game, somebody who's not finished at all is Alok Sinha. Big props to him as Andrew Tang is kind of struggling to beat this player just as we spoke, he makes a mistake. But plenty of fans for Alok as well in the chat, as Aditya Agarwal says, mark my words, Alok Sinha is going to be one of the greatest players soon.
Oof, oof. That might be true, but the position is not good for him, I have to say, because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
about to lose
correct.
the pawn on e6 via knight c7. And then if he defends this pawn via e5, I'm going to route my knight to a6 and take the c5 pawn. And basically, you are in a knight end game where you're just a pawn down. And a very famous there's a very famous quote in chess that knight end games are like king pawn endings, and if this was a king
Mhm.
pawn ending, this would just be dead lost. So I think Andrew
Yeah,
Tang taking the win here, and all the invited players, by the way, scoring the win on the first round itself.
yeah. Just confirming, Josbam has beaten Deeptan Ghosh Deeptan, also in must-win territory. Andrew Tang is just about to win, so maybe says we can stick around with this game until it finishes. And yeah, would like to remind chat two-game mini match, 1.5 points are needed for any player to go through, and it looks like it's going to be Andrew Tang who wins game one here. Says any chance for a black to make a comeback?
Sadly not. I feel
No,
this is
no.
just a dead lost position because I also think that this pawn on a5 is going to be taken very soon. Yeah, because I don't want to play knight b7 immediately because you might cause some problems for my a3 and b3 pawns. So this is a nice approach. Bring the king, push the knight away, and then play knight b7 because then the a5 pawn is just gone. Yeah, he plays g5 trying to find some counterplay on the king side, but sadly it is not there. Just king d2, and also look at his time. Yeah, 30 seconds on the clock. So sadly, I think this is not going Alok's way, and I think Andrew Tank is taking the W here.
Yeah, it says, 30 seconds is too little, as you mentioned, but against Andrew Tang, who's one of the fastest bullet players, not just in this event or in this country or in this continent, but in the world.
Yes,
Andrew Tang plays
100%.
hyper bullet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and Alok Sinha, sorry, but this time is just not enough against Andrew Tang.
Yeah, okay. G4 plays, he's gonna take it. King takes, and there is no entry points on this on the king side here. All white has to do is just push the pawns, move the knight. You cannot play b4, of course, because it's hanging. So knight c6, you push the pawns all the way down, and black will just resign here. 18 seconds left. Oh, he goes king f1, very very safe because you didn't want to allow knight c1 check either. So very nice move, I
Then,
think, by Andrew, and he wins.
Saj, no time to waste. Let's quickly check in on Harshal Patel because he looks like he's completely winning against Abhimanyu.
Oh, wait, what? That would be
What
huge. Taking
exactly?
down
What the
Abhimanyu
hell
on
happened
demand.
here? Yeah, and if you could get Abhimanyu or Harshal's camera, Harshal, we saw him, we were seeing his camera. He was beaming from ear to ear as he beat Suyogwa 2-0. And Abhimanyu, who looks like he's at home in Pune, is very, very subtle, just not giving anything, any emotions away. And on the right, Seher, you see Harshal, who he's excited. He knows something is happening.
Absolutely. And what's happening right now is that I mean, black has just sacrificed a pawn with e5, right? But you have to
Uh,
think 50 times before you play d takes e5 because, hello, look at this bishop. Once you take, I have d4, and suddenly black is winning. So you have to be, some tricks from Abhimanyu there, but Harshal does not fall for them. He goes e takes d4, a slight inaccuracy, e takes d4, and now this bishop is blocked forever. And it looks like Harshal might be winning this one. Rakesh, any chance of an Armageddon here?
I think heavy chances. Abhimanyu, though 2650 player, would not discount him at all. But look at that rapid rating for Harshal, close to 2500. So it just shows he's putting in those reps, putting in those hours, working really hard. He's also a content creator, 2200 on FIDE, a candidate master title there. But Sahaj, I'm just impressed by Harshal overall, and this is what the GCL think tank was thinking. Let's give a chance to anybody in the chess world to come and fight it out against the big boys.
No, and the interesting part is he's streaming, right?
Yes, yes, he
He's
is. He is.
streaming his match and still beating 2650 player, which is super impressive, I think, at this point. Yeah, I think a great comeback here for Harshal here. But okay, the job is not done. He still has to convert his advantage. It's still theoretically possible. Black plays f5 here, trying to create some problems, trying to create some mess on the boards, hoping for
Yeah.
that inaccuracy. The question is he going to make a mistake? The best move here is f3. And look at this, Rakesh. After f3, black can just ignore this and go bishop takes h4, and white should not take this knight on e4. So still some tricks in the game.
Lot of tricks, Sahaj. And I just wanted to ask you a question, Sahaj. So normally they say it's very difficult to beat a grandmaster, and let alone a grandmaster of Abhimanyu's level and caliber. So they say that the stronger players always keep making a comeback in the game. And as Harshal finds out F3, says the question is, what should Harshal do to ensure this is a successful conversion?
I I think it all comes down to nerves at the end of the day because I
Hmm.
think if
Yeah.
because you see the rating of your opponent, doesn't matter the position, you see the rating of your opponent and you panic because you in your mind you want the match to finish as quickly as possible. See, this is one of the reasons. Like f takes e4 is kind of a decision like that because you're playing it because you want the match to finish quicker. But I think if he was playing against a lower rated opponent, then he would enjoy the process of having a winning position. So in such crunch
Uh-huh.
moments, I think just forget your opponent's rating and just focus on the game and try to enjoy as much as you can. By the way,
Oh
Rukesh F1.
wow, blunder. Bye bye, Harshal Patil. This is so sad. He had built up such a great. Look at he's still excited. We can see the bar. Harshal can't. And Sahaj, take it away on why it's a blunder.
But e3 check, and this bishop finally joins the action. He goes bishop f2, another blunder. What is going
What?
on? Did Abhimanyu forget that queen h4 check is not possible in this position?
I think he did. The knight coming backwards, they miss it. Let's show the winning idea, Sage. Pawn takes G4 was the winning idea there for
Yeah, and
black.
queen takes g4 and then bishop f2, because I think now you're threatening bishop c8 and this
Correct.
queen is now trapped. But he doesn't find it. He plays bishop f2 and also very quick. He took 0.7 seconds to play this move. So clearly, I think there is a very good chance he missed that queen h4 check is just not possible in this position. It's a checkmate, by the way. It's a
Yeah,
checkmate,
and the
but it's not
knight can
working.
come back. Exactly, exactly. And we can see Harshal is excited. Abhimanyu is still nonchalant yet, but I think he still has some juice in the position because it's a crazy messed up position. Remember, Abhimanyu just needs a drop. So and he blunders, as I say it, Bishop G2 check.
What? That is insane. What a move by Abhimanyu. What a move. Come on. Props to him for finding it in such a short amount of time. That is insane. Queen
Yeah.
takes g2, queen h5 is just checkmate. And if he goes king takes g2, then you just lose the queen. And actually, it's checkmate as well. So,
Come
huge,
on,
huge
Abhi.
blunder by.
Give us a smile. Abhi, give us a smile. And you,
Yeah,
but
he must be
he
happy with
goes,
this.
yeah, yeah, there you go. There we see it. And it's more of a sigh of relief, Sahaj, but because I'm sure Abhimanyu knew he was close to busted. But kudos to Harshal as well. Great performance, buddy.
For sure, for sure. I think it's a great performance by him. But yeah, at the end moment, I think he kind of, made a huge mistake over there. But yeah, he had a completely winning position. And yeah, great performance by him. Okay, moving on to the next game. By the way, Abhimanyu, the first player to qualify into the semifinals. The rest of the games are still going on. Let's
Yeah.
switch to maybe Jospem versus Diptayan and see what's going on here. Jospem with the
Hmm.
lead with 1 out of 1. And looks like Diptayan has some pressure in this position.
Oh, it's big pressure, and as we just say, another slight inaccuracy by uh, Deep Tayan. Your commentator's curse is real, but remember, Deep Tayan has to win on demand, or he's out of here. All the players who are leading, that is Joe Spam, Benjamin Book, and Andrew Dang, just need a draw to go on. Abhimanyu is already through. Sahaj, any predictions on who will be joining Abhimanyu in tomorrow's semifinals?
I feel Jospem can draw this. However, I'm getting a feeling that we might see a rook bishop versus rook endgame here.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm getting a
incoming.
feeling, and that is okay. I'm not debating the fact whether Jospem can draw that or not. Of course, he can without a doubt. However, doing that without increment is not an easy task.
Yeah, but he has 4 minutes on the clock, and I think just the fact that when you have an extra piece, but the engine shows 0.00, that's how drawn this position is. So, Jospem will
For sure.
definitely be the favorite here. Can we have a quick check-in on Benjamin Bok as well? Because looks like he has equalized against Aradhyagar.
Yep, this is the position, by the way. Benjamin Book also leading, so he just needs a draw. And I think the position looks comfortable enough for him to make a draw. The only problem is this queen on a6, which seems a bit out of place for me. And rook a5 can be a problem in the future, but I think just a move like b5 can solve these issues without much trouble. He just has to hold a draw. So b5 I think can be simple enough. Let's also be careful. Yeah, b6 is not a good move here because if you played b6, then bishop takes b6, and suddenly you're a pawn down.
Oh. Yeah. So then he plays pawn to a4, but I also like White's position here. White has the control, so Aradhya here definitely can force some things like Alok Sinha. Sahaj, I will be glad to tell you one of our qualifiers has a chance against the invited Grandmaster
Alok Sinha. 1 second. I'm just setting the.
against Andrew Tang.
Here we go. This is the current. Oh, he has a better position.
For sure, yeah.
We need Magnus here, yeah, as white. It would be a nightmare for any player to play this against Magnus. Let's just put it like that. But yeah, for Magnus, this is winning already. Like white is completely winning.
Yeah, yeah. And like Chad, I know this is opposite colored bishops, but White enjoys the fact that he's just a piece up because the bishop on a7 for black is kind of dead and buried. No real square to attack to. and it's going to be one-way traffic, and it's going to be 5.5 minutes of defense for Andrew Tang. Let's see if Alok can spring a surprise. But on that note, Sahaj, any Arma predictions for the men's section?
I'm not sure if Alok Sinha will be able to, sort of convert this position. You need a lot of patience and you need really good technique to be able to, sort of beat an opponent like Andrew Tang here. Because let's face it, yeah, he must have faced a position like this or a situation like this many times in his life. So that experience counts a lot. Um, so I think to win a game like this is very impressive against against a player of Andrew Tang's caliber. So
Mhm.
with that being said, it is still possible, but I think it's a bit unlikely for me.
True, true. Saj, let's quickly jump into Jocelyn's game because looks like he has set up an incredible perpetual of some
Ooh.
sort.
Okay, check on G2. I think that's forced because if you go rook e2, I have bishop check and then rook check, and then I just take this and thank you for the pawn. And then I'm just completely winning. So rook g2 is basically forced. I will go king f1, just sort of not allowing black to give the check back on f2 anymore. And then how does he play? This doesn't feel that simple.
I think you just go king g8, sidestep off the check,
So you
and
go
then
here,
just
I go here, king g8. Now he's still thinking,
yeah.
so we can analyze a bit. What do I do now? Do I just go bishop takes b6? Is that possible?
No, rook b2 and rook b1 is checkmate, right?
Bishop
It's
b6, rook. Oh, I have rook g7 check. I was just. I don't know if it's working or not. Oh, I have rook g7 check
okay.
actually. It does work. But apparently, king g7 is also a draw. By the way, so a lot of moves have been played. Let's just quickly go see what happens. Rook c2 happens. Rook g7. Oh, we are seeing it. Look at this, Rakesh bhai. We have a rook bishop versus rook on the board. And
Wow.
chat and Rakesh, do you think Jospem will hold this?
I think so. I think so. You know, he plays Saturday Tuesdays. He's one of the most active grandmasters on Chess.com. I think he will manage to save this, even though the 10 will do his best, try his best. And can we get a upshot, close-up angle of Deep Time and Jospin as well?
Absolutely. And by the way, look at this. We actually exchanged the last pawn. I believe it was on move 55. So it should be a move 105 before the game is agreed to a draw. Now, he has very little time on the clock. He's trying to maintain, he's trying to not go into the back rank because that's going to be a problem for him. It's move 74 right now. He has to hold this position for another 30 moves before the draw is claimed for him. Now,
Yeah, and
whether
you know,
he's
it's an
able to do it or
automatic claim
not,
on Chess.com, so that's good for him.
that helps him, I
But
think. That helps him for sure. Because in an OTV game, it's not done automatically for you. So,
yeah, and I'm just checking, Sahaj, what was the last capture? 55th move was the last capture. So
yeah,
105 is the draw.
yeah.
And overall, it looks like we are at move 80. So 25 more moves to go, Sahaj. Your predictions? Do you think Deeptan can pull this?
The thing is that he's not able to get the king to the back rank even right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's the problem for me because if the king is not in the back rank, then there is very little chance that he's going to make a mistake. He has to make 25 moves though with a minute and 37 seconds, and he needs to stop making these, this bishop e5, bishop d4 because he's just repeating and he's making Jospem's life easier when he's repeating. Just play something else, so it's not a repetition. I feel like he's done this a few times already.
Mhm.
Look at Jospem completely locked in. He knows this is this is very important to hold.
Yeah, and I think overall, he should be able to save this.
Yeah, 20 more moves to go, and I think he's doing it. He's doing it 100%. There is no, yeah, he's giving him no chance to even go into the back rank. Like that's how you know that Jospam is here. He's here
Meanwhile,
for a fight.
Sahaj, Aradhya drew Benjamin's book. So Aradhya is out. Benny goes through with 1.5, 0.5 in the other match. So last two matches of the men's section going on. Jospin under 1 minute.
Absolutely. By the way, but still, he has like what 13 more moves to play, and the king is not in the back rank. I feel like this is easy sailings from here.
Yeah, yeah.
Easy, easy, easy. Rook
No
F5. Okay,
pawn
King
move,
F3.
no
Oh,
capture.
Rook F4
So tough
perhaps.
for Deeptan as well.
Bishop E5 perhaps. That seems like a logical move to me. Black goes Rook F5, maybe Rook E1. You can try to create
Yeah,
some mess
but
there. Oh no, no, no. The Rook, you cannot give checks. You cannot give checks. I feel like Diptayan is playing too fast and he's compromising on the quality of the moves because he's playing on time. But the draw is already claimed for him. Though he's just not getting that position anymore.
mhm,
Okay, check. King
true.
goes to
And
F5. Check
time is
again.
running out for Deeptan. It's not the clock, but it's actually number of moves. Sahaj four
Yeah.
more moves, and Deeptan's time will run out.
Yep. There it is.
And we have it.
One more move to go, and there it is. That's a draw. Crazy actually
Oh,
that
I hope you
Jospam didn't.
saw.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you saw Jospin's reaction. Like double fist,
Yeah. I mean, this
excited.
is
Jospin
of
goes through. It just shows
like
Sahaj what this tournament means to Jospin.
of course, and I think also drawing in this fashion, I feel you really feel confident about your abilities because didn't he
Yeah,
didn't just draw this end game, he also didn't go to the back rank. I feel that's something that not many
flex.
players can say.
Yeah, and
So
let's
that's
quickly
a
jump into Alok Sinha's game, the last remaining match. Till now, the invited players have qualified for tomorrow's semis. Can Alok Sinha force a tiebreak, force an Armageddon here, Sahaj?
The only way I see that happening is if he sacrifices on c6 and starts pushing the pawn down, because the moment he plays b5, that's a dead draw. If he can find some way to b5, no, 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 that's not the way. I feel this is already a draw.
Yeah, I think just
And
opposite color bishops. That's a big problem.
yeah, and also Andrew Tang having 3 minutes on the clock does not help Alok here at all. So I think this is another just a repetition incoming.
Yeah,
There's no way to
yeah.
make progress. All of these important squares are covered. And okay, he goes f4. That's a nice try actually, because if you go gf4, then maybe h4 can, maybe make some problems for black, but black can just
Mhm.
play something like king c7.
Very nice try by Alok, but I think Andrew Tang can simply ignore it and he should be through. 3 minutes for Andrew, just 35 seconds for Alok. And says, looks like we might not have a single Armageddon in the men's section, but don't expect such battles in the prodigy section, where we'll have Faustino Oro, 11-year-old kid who definitely wants to come to Mumbai.
Oof, that's gonna be the highlight, I think, for as a commentator for sure. I would love to see how he's, and I heard that recently he made a grandmaster norm. Yeah, it was about
Yes,
one
yes, he
month,
did.
like 2 weeks ago or so. So he's on track to becoming a grandmaster. Might be the youngest one. By the way, there we go. That's a draw. So Andrew Tang does qualify into the semifinals of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League, and that I think wraps up the men's section.
Yeah, it wraps up the men's section. So, quick reminder to everyone on who's gone through. So Jospin beating Deeptan Ghosh, and then it was Benjamin Book who beat Aradhya Garg, Abhimanyu Puranik beat Harshal Patil, and lastly, Andrew Tang beats Alok Sinha. So, Sahaj, very, very interesting matchups we have for tomorrow, where we'll be commentating once again, where Benjamin Book takes on Yospin, and Andrew Tang takes on Abhimanyu Puranik.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun match. I think both of those will sound very, very interesting to watch. So it will be a fun day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we will also check in with the chat. So, by the way, Akhilesh Nagar is telling us he was watching Harshal's stream where Harshal played King F1 in the opening by mistake. Sage, can you please take us there and show which was the mouse slip? And in fact, he took it in his stride and played a crazy game. And actually, he wanted to castle
We
Kudos,
actually
I
missed
think.
this, yeah. We missed this
Yeah, I mean,
completely, but King F1, of course, it's a mouse slip. He wanted to castle here for sure. Although I'm a bit surprised why he wanted to castle in the first place here, because generally speaking, you want to go 95 F4 and you just want to launch the attack on the king side. But yeah, castle is I would say a strange move for me as it is. But yeah, King F1 definitely threw him off in the position. But the interesting thing is that he still managed to get a winning position out of this.
yeah, yeah, very interesting. But kudos, I think Harshal will be proud of how he played, as well as Alok Sinha. GG's to them, but we have the four invited players in the women's section and the men's section going through. But as I'm pretty sure we'll be getting some upsets and some new faces in the prodigy section, for which we'll be back very, very soon. Chat, don't go anywhere. Faustino Oro on the other side will be joining us. welcome back. We have with us the prodigy category of the wrestling. We are into the knockout challengers. We have eight kids, eight prodigy Sahaj who will be fighting out. Let's see who will come to Mumbai. And Sahaj bhai, let us know who is your favorite amongst these eight players.
My favorite amongst the players that I've mentioned that you can see on the screen is Pranesh. No, I'm kidding. By the way, Pranesh, of course, big love to Pranesh. I think he's an awesome player, but you cannot ignore the aura of Faustino Oro. You just cannot ignore it. And I feel like this is the star matchup for me because, he's just 11 years old and he's on his track to become the world's youngest grandmaster, which is a huge achievement. I think
Yeah.
it's just completely unheard of in today's time. So we'll be taking a very close matchup on on his games. But apart from that, we have another very interesting matchup between Pranav Anand and Jawal Saurin Patel. That's also quite interesting, but I think Pranav Anand will on his rapid rating it says 2393, but I just saw him like last week and I'm pretty sure he's 2600, like he's 2610 or something like that. And then we have a match between Dennis Lazovic versus Foxes 64. Who is this, Rakesh bhai? You're muted, huh?
Oops. Yeah, that's Ratina Sabapati. He's also
Uh-huh.
playing in the Indian Collegiate Chess Championship, if I'm not mistaken. So he's
Cool.
just about 20, 21 years old. And, he had a great run in the last weekend's knockout titled edition. So definitely a force to reckon with. So can't discount. And there are absolutely no easy games for his opponent Denis Lazovic. But says we all know Dennis Lazovic has beaten Magnus, is a very strong player, has played the Champions Chess Tour finals as well. So definitely a big favorite there.
For sure, for sure. And I think the final match is between Pranesh and Super Fast GM. Could you also tell us who this player is? I'm assuming this
Superfast
is
GM
chess.com
is Yeah,
ID.
Gopal Krishna Maheshwari, Gopal Krishna M. He had
Mhm.
about, I think, 2021 rating. So all of these, prodigies, very, very strong, Sahaj. And one thing that we noticed last week was just the amount of Armageddons that happened in this stage. And also, the kids or the prodigies, they are just so hungry and fearless. They don't
Mm.
care who the opponent is. They don't care about your ratings, your titles, and they fight till the bitter end. So buckle in, chat. You're in for a treat. And Sahaj, I think the featured matchup is going to be of Faustino.
For sure, I think on paper, at least this matchup is the closest. I think in
Mm-hmm.
comparison, if we look at the ratings, all the other matches, there's a very very big difference of at least around 400 points from what I can see on my screen.
Yep.
So yeah, I think this is the only matchup where it's somewhat closed. But okay, Faustino Oro is growing, so fast that I feel that his actual rating is not what you see on the screen. In 6 months from now, he could be a 2600 player. In a year from now, he could be knocking on the door of that 2700 rating. And it's just, we don't know where this prodigy will go. And yeah, super excited for this matchup. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and as we see Faustino here munching on some snacks before he's munching on his opponents as well. Look at his setup, Sahaj, just above us in
Yes.
the camera. That's an insane, sick setup for an
I
11-year-old
love the
kid.
mic, yeah. I love the
Yeah, yeah.
microphone. I love the on the background. He's got that Faustino aura. I mean, it's he's just an 11-year-old kid. I mean, come on, that's amazing. That's he's doing
That's
everything right. Yeah,
aura.
streaming. Becoming a grandmaster. He's doing everything right.
Absolutely. And chat, his he has been nicknamed as the Messi of chess. Sahaj, what kind of pressure would it be on you if you were known as the Messi of chess?
As an 11-year-old, I don't think probably a lot because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean, I think when you are 19, 20, or when you're a bit older, I think you understand what that actually means. I think for
Hmm.
now, I think he's just chilling. I think because I think he's basically delivering every single time. He hasn't, um, let's say, lived up to the expectations so far. So I think the name definitely has a strong ring to it, and I think he fully deserves it in that sense.
Fair, fair. We'll see. And Rosh Jain, another upcoming youngster from Delhi. Any insights you have on Rosh there, Sahaj, for us? Because you're also from Delhi.
I've played him, I think, once, if I remember correctly. I'm
Uh-huh.
not, I can't fully recall the game, but I remember it
Okay.
was in some Dubai Open in 2022, and I think it was him. I'm not sure, but see, I haven't lived in Delhi for a very long time. Yeah, so I'm also discovering these players for the first time myself. But very happy to see Rosh Jan playing against Faustino Oro, and if he's able to pull an upset here, what a big deal it would be for the Delhi youngster.
Absolutely, absolutely. And while we have Saksham is excited to see the Messi of chess, let's go. While our friend Ritik Tiwari is saying, I'm getting existential crisis. And you're not the only one because, 11-year-old, he is on track to become the world's youngest grandmaster in history at 11. So he's got one GM norm, two more norm certificates he gets, and he is done there.
And
Sahaj, do
he's
you think
also
he,
higher
he does
rated than
it?
me. He's also higher rated than me right now. He's
Oh.
2500. That is
Wow.
I mean insane, especially especially with the rating deflation and chess becoming so much more competitive in the past few years because post COVID times it just changed so much. It is so impressive to see a youngster rising up so quickly at such a young age. So very very impressive from Faustino Oro there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think Dennis Lasovic, another very, very strong youngster that we just saw on our screen there. And I don't see the games have started yet, but we should have lift off very, very soon.
Yup, I believe in just a minute or so. I think the games should have begun already, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, okay. So it should begin, I think, very, very shortly in just a few minutes. So yes, that's what it is. But I think comparing the women's section, then comparing the men's section and now the prodigies, I feel this section has the biggest sort of a difference when it comes to ratings. Like in the women's
Hmm.
section, you had that game between Mitra and Yulia where it was somewhat close with in the men's section you had the match between Josh Pem and Dipta and Ghosh, which is very close, especially when it comes to their classical ratings. They are, I think, not that far apart from each other, if I'm not mistaken. Dipta and being around 2580, 2590, something like that, and Josh Pem being around 2630, 2640, something like that. So, but here in the prodigy section, I think the difference is massive. However, with that being said, when it comes to I think youngsters, like, I think the rating is never a justification of their strength because they can play at a level of 2600, they can play at a level of 1800 given the day. Anything is possible because
Yeah,
because the level has not stabilized yet.
that's true. And here we see Gopal Maheshwari above us. He also pulled off an upset in the second leg of the GCL contenders and knockout title edition. So Sahaj, we have four interesting matchups. Let's do our, the usual uh, question. How many Armageddons do you think we'll have in this category?
I think big zero for me here. The only Armageddon I think that is possible for me is just Faustino Oro because Rosh Chen I think can hold his own, but I think the others, Pranav Anand definitely not. I think Pranav Anand is a of course no uh, 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 the difference between these two players is just too big, especially when it comes to classical rating. And Pranav Anand is also a youngster. He's also ever growing. He's 2600, just recently entered that rating. And yeah, I think he's also in shape. Yeah, because he just played the Romanian Super League and he was board one and he played spectacular. And if I'm not mistaken, he led his team to win the tournament as well, which is, I think, super impressive.
Yeah, super impressive indeed, Sahaj. And his opponent, if you could just click on that board, Sahaj, so we can show chat. It's Pranav Anand who will be playing white against Jwal Soren Patel. And Jwal, he's 2350, a very, very strong player. and upcoming player, I think from the state of Gujarat. Sahaj, do you think a 2-3-5-0 player, young and hungry player, any chances of an upset here?
You make a very good point. Yeah, I'm not denying that. But however, I feel that when you hit 2600, I think it puts you on a different level. I think
Yeah,
that difference is too big for me. Like anyone below, I
fair.
think 25 or 2450, you have a very big difference, I think, when it comes to that. So I still think that Pranav has, at least on paper, has a very good chance to win. But surprises are possible, of course, because this is a faster format. It depends how much form you're in. One bad move, one mistake can really turn things around for anyone here. So, but my prediction, I think there's not going to be an Armageddon here. What do you think? Any Armageddon on any boards, but you have to be specific. Yeah, this time you have to say which board because you made me say it as well.
Okay. Okay. Uh Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty strong. So Faustino and Ross is the only Armageddon, and that's a featured matchup. We want that match actually to go to Armageddon, so all the fans and we both can enjoy some more chess. That's the plan as always. But with that said, games starting in under 60 seconds. Let's go.
No,
So we'll
just
be,
looking at Faustino, I don't think he's playing at the moment, or
yeah,
maybe
he's
he's
not, he's
trying
not.
to recall some like opening theory, or I don't know if I'm over analyzing this, but I think for him the game has not begun. But I think Pranav Anand looks like he's already playing his match.
Yeah, I think Faustino, it's looking like he's just listening to some last minute things that the Fair Play staff are telling. So
Mhm.
does Rosh, and yeah, he just nods a bit. Game starting in less than 60 seconds, says we'll be having the time of our lives as we are going to enjoy the last category of the day. Remember, tomorrow again we'll have the semi-finals, but this time it will be of again the three categories, and we'll be starting off with the men's, women's, and prodigy again. But which four players will join them? Says currently 8 out of 8. All the players were invited players. Says I don't think any qualifier is a favorite to go through in this time, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, and we have liftoff, by the way, E4
Let's go.
D6 by Ross Jan. That's a bold sort of line to play against Faustino Oro. We have
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, the Philidor defense. I think it's a normal opening so far. White plays A4, white plays H3, and okay, the game goes on. But it can be somewhat challenging for white if you don't know what to do. It can become very dynamic very quickly. So I think a very nice choice by Ross here. I think he is on the right track, but let's see if Faustino is playing somewhat fast so far. Let's see what happens here. Okay, while he thinks there's already a slight advantage for Denis Lazovic against.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank here. Could you please remind me what's Fox's 64?
Ratina Sabapati. And it's an English
Ratina.
Sahaj, which you predicted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Ratina. So, by the way, 2763 is his rating. That is insane, actually, for Lazovic. Insane. Wow. But yeah, already a pretty sizable advantage for white. I think black is supposed to castle, but knight f6 and short castle, and white can maybe go queen b3, bishop f4, put some pressure on the b7 pawn. And okay, it looks like a pretty comfortable advantage for Denis Lazovic here.
Yeah, 2600 as himself as well. Denlas, known as he known on the website. Dennis, super strong player says, and he also had a few doubters amongst the chess world, but he proved it when he played in the World Rapid Blitz as well last year. So very strong player to reckon with, and the experience just shows Sahaj with the opening prep and the opening advantage that we see. Can you tell us why White's position is so much better?
I believe it's mainly because of the pawn on d5. I think that's a
Mhm.
very big because you're controlling the center. It's in opponent's territory, and I think black just struggles with space here. That's basically it. And white can just freely move his pieces around, whereas black is going to struggle to get pieces around from one side to the other. So it's just a matter of space. But okay, the game is not over. I think there's still a lot of chess yet to be played, and we could see a comeback from Ratina here. And okay, while he thinks, by the way, I would like to draw your
Sahaj,
attention to Pranav
yeah,
Anand.
I know,
Look
I
at
know.
this.
Crazy.
Okay. I would like to humbly take back my statement because it looks like Juval Saurin Patel is actually in a much better position against Pranav. He took a slight risk when he played G4 in the position, and now, as you can see from the blue arrow, Knight F8 seems to be the only move for Black to find any advantage. However, this is not an easy move because once you get knight f8, you are making room for this knight to go to d7. But this just the thought of playing g5 and pawn takes pawn and losing this pawn on d5 just feels off to me. What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think? Is this easy?
Not easy at all. And we see Joel, spending, investing his time maybe correctly in this position. He is, he's so involved. He's almost into the computer screen or into the camera sedge as we see him above us. And he's, I think, figuring that out. Knight f8 has to be played sedge because this kick to the knight after g5, the knight on f6 has no square. So maybe that's the reason why you have to make a square for your knight.
Perhaps after knight f8, g5, maybe I have knight g4. Actually, this is the only move here.
Yeah.
You should put the knight back to d7. So you're putting some pressure on the h2 pawn and the g5 pawn as well. And white will go something like h4. And black must just completely ignore this and just go bishop f5. You can also play bishop e6, but bishop f5. And somehow I feel this leaving this knight on g4 where it doesn't have a lot of room to, move around. In fact, it is
Mhm.
technically trapped. It feels a bit difficult for me to play over the board. And he already has 6.5 minutes left on the clock. That's a very big difference. He has to start playing quickly. Otherwise, even if he has a good position, the time is not going to be his friend here. Okay, knight f8 played. Oh, he
Wow.
goes knight d7. That's a mistake. Should have gone knight g4
That's a
instead.
mistake. And
That
I
that
think
was not
White
an
can
easy
just
decision.
take the pawn. White can just go for the pawn, and I think Joel had the right idea, but it is kind of difficult for him because knight c7 coming in as well now, where White can plonk the knight on the seventh rank and then land the king on the same file for Black.
Oh, by the way, mistake by him. He should have gone knight c7 and that would have kept his advantage. But he goes
Ooh.
knight c3 and Joel returns the favor with f5. He should have gone knight f6 instead, but not an easy thing to play over the board for sure. Okay, he goes long castle. Black plays b5, trying to attack on the queen side here. He goes h4, putting pressure on the queen. Black has to go somewhere. e7, f6, h6. Rakesh bhai, where will you go?
He goes to h6. I'm not sure of that Sahaj and mine. Why, while Pranav Anand tries to figure out a way, let's jump into Faustino Oro because he is slightly better. In fact, much better against Ross Jen.
Oh, actually, this is a nearly a winning advantage because if he finds e5 in this
Yeah.
position, it is +2 basically. Okay, he doesn't play it, but still maintains a pretty sizable advantage. Attacking the g6 knight, Black has to defend via king h7. If you retreat the knight back to f8, I feel e5 is just going to be too deadly here. And look at that pose by Faustino Aro. Someone needs to clip that and take a picture and post it everywhere because that was that's actually quite cute.
Very cute. Yeah, clip it and ship it if you're watching. And the e5 breaks, such a common motif, Sahaj, wrecking Black's pawn structure. I think Faustino is going to play it 100%. I can guarantee you he's thinking about pawn to e5 here.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you don't play e5 yourself, black can play d5 and black's pawn structure remains intact. And you want to
Right.
play e5 to disrupt the harmony of the structure. And I think this is also why he pushed his queen to g3 just to prepare for e5 so that the rook is no longer looking, on the d file and your queen is no longer under attack. I feel that somehow Faustino is not happy with this position, or am I over analyzing his expressions here? What do you think?
I mean, you're not at all, but say the question. He was covering his eyes. How does he see the board? Or do stronger players don't need a board to calculate at all?
I mean, I'm assuming he's calculating in his head, but he doesn't look happy to me at all, or he looks a
Hmm.
bit too stressed to me. I'm not sure what is the situation here, but he does not look happy to me. But he has a good position.
Yeah,
Does this mean
definitely
a
has
blunder
a
is
good.
incoming?
No, he goes for e5. He goes for e5, Sahaj. I mean, don't ever doubt the Messi of chess. Faustino Oro, ladies and gentlemen, what a
Let's
player.
go.
He takes on e5. Now look at those double pawns. White will definitely recapture the pawn, but I think a nice and gradual lasting advantage for Fausti here.
Absolutely, because once you capture knight takes e5, this pawn on e6 remains, quite bad here. Okay, that's a mistake. Bishop takes e5 is a mistake. He had to capture with the knight, but is this maybe why he wasn't as happy, Faustino Oro?
I mean, I'm not sure. I think we let the kid be as he grabs a sip of water. I think we love his background, those hands. Look at
Mm.
that name, how he has printed behind him. And let's also jump in on Pranesh's game, which we haven't looked at all because that's a crazy position. But the eval bar, bang in the middle.
Ooh, by the way, as soon as we jumped in here,
Oh,
G6,
again.
the commentator's curse is real. Huge blunder. Uh, and now Queen h4, Bishop h3 seems to be quite just completely winning for Pranesh here. And I think he might actually win this one. And by the way, sorry to just jump again, but look at this position between Pranav Anand and Jwal Saurin Patel. Look at this. Look at what is happening here. Knight d4 was played here. ED4, Queen d2,
Wow.
Bishop c1. What is going on?
I think forcing black to capture the pawn, queen takes d4 in the center, then maybe putting the bishop back on that superb long diagonal that we saw earlier in Mitra's game's edge. I think this
Hmm.
game is heating up, and I think all three results possible in this one.
Also, there's bishop e3 and you just win bishop b6. Isn't that just a free piece,
Oh
or
yeah.
am I missing something? Wait, that's a blue arrow. So queen f6 has to be played in this position. And
Oh, if
once
you
you go,
take bishop e5, then I think.
oh, okay, okay. So both of them are attacked and you get the piece back essentially. But the it's still not over. Still, I think a very, very
Not
complicated
over.
battle. Oh, he makes a mistake. He goes queen takes b4 and gives the piece away.
Yeah, I think Jewel missed that, but Pranav will bank on his experience to pull it through. As can we have a quick look at Pranesh's game as that's about to end, Sahaj? If we are just keeping on jumping, I know, but all games are
Hmm.
super packed with action. And Rook f6 in, you have to drop back with your queen probably.
Yeah, somewhere like queen d7, queen e7. I think it really doesn't matter where the queen goes. You just want to go knight d6, attack the rook, attack the bishop, and attack the pawn as well.
Ooh,
And somehow you just
beautiful.
capture the pawn with a tempo. And I think you are just winning here by. Oh, by the way, there's a nice tactic here. For example, if you go queen e7, knight d6, you cannot move the rook because there is rook takes g6. Game over.
Beautiful. I think that's why Pranesh is looking all set to bring this one home. And remember, chat, just a couple of months ago, Pranesh, in fact, won the Chennai Grandmaster online qualifier. In fact, he beat my good friend Sahaj on the way. No, sorry, he lost to Grandmaster Sahaj on the way, but he still won the qualifier. But Sahaj, what's more impressive, he went to Chennai and also won the event, qualified to the Masters category. So definitely, Pranesh, an online qualifying beast in a way.
It was very funny because I played Pranesh in the first round and I won that game. Then I played Diptayan in the second round and I won that as well. And both of them qualified to the Chennai
Oh,
Masters there. And then Pranesh ends up winning the tournament, which is crazy. And of course, Pranesh, I think he's extremely good at counter attacking, I feel, because whenever he has a worse position, he has this way of not giving up and just keep fighting, until the last move. And I think that's what sets him apart from, a lot of other players. And I think that's a very good quality of his. But yeah, look, judging by this position, I think this is basically over. There's a 5 minute, let's address that there is a 5 minute difference between these two players, which is huge. And on top of that, black has just one threat with queen takes e3. And if he just takes care of that, perhaps via queen h6, I'm guessing, or maybe even just you can take knight e8 as well, or you can just play h3 as well. Anything is completely winning here for Pranesh. And I think it's just only a matter of time before this game is completely over.
yeah. Speaking of completely over, Sahaj, let's also check in on Denis Lazovic as he's about to beat Ratina Sabapati to get the first win of the Challengers board. Queen takes h6, checkmate incoming. Very
Ooh.
tough for Black to save that.
No chance to save this. Yeah, even if you play h5, queen h6 check is just mate. Knight f5 perhaps is your only chance, but you lose the e6 pawn because that's what the knight on e6 is controlling at the moment. So after knight f5, I just take rook e6 and it's just time to resign. It's just that I feel the time is a very big factor on both of these games. You know, the one we were looking at earlier and this one as well, where you are in a worse position, you're in a lost position, but you also have a 5 minute, a 4 minute disadvantage, which I think is really a lot. And because there is no increment here anymore. So I feel this is definitely not going. And I'm looking at all the players who are playing with the white pieces, they are all completely winning here. So all the invited players are just completely winning without any problems. So Rakesh
So
bhai, do you
that,
think any chance of an Armageddon? By the way, we do have a winner in the in one of the matches. Pranav Anand has defeated Jwal Saurin Patel already.
yeah, he's won that crazy topsy-turvy game. While they have started game two, we'll stick to this. And we check in with Ross Jen. Can he defend that against our favorite Faustino Oro here, Sage?
Okay, knight c5 was a slight inaccuracy. Commentators curse incoming yet again. Instead of knight c5, they had apparently bishop takes g7 was just GG. The game would be over, but knight c5 was slight inaccuracy, and this is the only game I see where the time is more or less balanced. So I still feel that even though the white has a sizable advantage, because of the time, I feel it can go either way.
Yeah, yeah, I think at least this game is in the balance. All the other games look like they are completely over or about to finish. So that's very well done on Roche's side, but I feel it's a little too less of counterplay for Black, and I think Fosti should be the favorite to get this one home.
For sure. By the way, bishop e7 played, attacking the knight on c5. He retreats.
Hmm.
And now the it's just this pawn on e6. That's the culprit in this position, I feel, because now with this pawn on e6 is forever going to be a problem for black to deal with. He goes rook f8, slight inaccuracy. He wants to attack the f2 pawn, but it is already defended. He goes bishop
Yeah,
a1, maybe
hitting that
attacking.
same e6 pawn which you are mentioning.
Yep, for sure. How do you even defend this? Is there a way to defend this? No, not really, yeah, because you can play bishop f6 from what I can see from the engine, but then just queen takes e6 feels like a free pawn. So yeah, I think Faustino probably is going to take this one, but okay, the game is still not over for sure. By the way, Pranesh has also defeated his match, and he's also going into the second game. So two matches have finished, and Denis Lazovic still playing, and Faustino Oro still playing.
Yeah, I think Dennis about to put the finishing touches on a very one-sided game, very well played game. In fact, we saw he was better from the opening, but here, Sahaj, this is I think the closest game. Somehow, it's always a featured matchup, Sahaj, that is ending up to being the closest match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but every single time because it feels like this is where the ratings are more or less balanced. So I don't think it's come. By the way, look at this queen h6 check, mate into threaten.
Uh-oh, Rosh, don't
That's
fall for
trouble.
that. Rosh, come
Defend it.
on.
King h7. Let's go. Bishop g5.
Yeah,
Something. Don't
and
forget
I think
this.
Rosh also has to go. Apart from the checkmating threat, just 90 seconds on the clock for Rosh. Chalo.
No, no, he has like a minute and 25 seconds. I feel on the thing.
Yeah, so that's 90 seconds, right?
Oh, I thought you meant 19 seconds. Sorry, my bad.
No, no, no,
But yeah, bishop
90.
g5. And because another the other game between Dennis, he had like 18 seconds on the clock. So I thought that's where
Correct,
the
correct.
uh, confusion
And
was. Okay,
that
bishop
game
g5
has
plays.
ended, Sahaj. Dennis Lasarik
Ooh,
has won. So this is the last game of the first games that we have in today's matches. Sahaj White completely winning. Any little chance for Ross Jen?
sadly not. It's Faustino Oro we're talking about. I think there is no chance he slips up in a position like this. I think he's just having fun at this point. I think because he knows this is completely winning
Oh,
for him.
Bishop takes g7. That's such a big threat and very difficult to save, to be very honest with you. And As we see, shout out to a producer for getting both the cameras in. Posty on the right, Roche on the left. I think it's just too much pressure for Roche to handle as his clock tickles down.
Yep, I think he knows he's completely winning. And I think that he knows this. Oh, he blunders the mate in two. It happens. Queen h6, Queen
Uh-oh,
g7.
Queen at 6. Let's go,
Oops.
Posty.
Oops.
Wow.
Nice win by Fosti there. Okay, good fight by
Messy
Roche,
of
though, I have to
chess.
say.
Yeah, I mean, GG's to Roche, but falsely showing why he is known as the Messi of chess. A delightful left-footed finish by Fosti there with Queen h6, Queen g7, and Sahaj. To recap, all the four invited players have won. Game one, Faustino Oro, Pranav Anand, Denis Lazovic, and Pranesh. Let's jump back into game two.
And this is the current position between in Pranesh's game, and he has just played knight d4, and I feel he's just already quite better. Yeah, I feel the opening phase has just gone perfectly for him. And look at the time difference, 9 minutes versus 6.5. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot, and I think already like a 3 minute advantage, especially when you just need the draw. Remember, it's a two-game mini match chat, so just 1.5 points is enough for all the four invited players. Just one draw, and they will be through to tomorrow's semifinals.
But I think if you're Pranesh, you're still playing to win, right? You're not playing to make a
Hundred
draw
percent,
here anymore. You're
hundred
just
percent. He doesn't care about, I think, these draws or whatever.
Hmm. I mean, you are happy with a draw, but okay, you also want to, try and have a 2-0 score here. But the game is still quite complicated, I would say. He goes knight e2, puts pressure on the g3 knight. White cannot capture because of the mate in one threat. He goes bishop d2, the best move in the position. I'm liking this move queen c6 a lot in here, just to provoke the golden pawn, and to get f3 on the board. He goes bishop d7, similar idea. He wants to go bishop c6 and put pressure on the g2 pawn. Let's see what he goes for now.
Yeah, and I think Pranesh has got a flight or a train to catch. He is simply blitzing those moves out. Bullet mode on for Pranesh. He's just in that zone, Sahaj. He's just playing super fast, quick moves, action-packed moves that are forcing our white player to think. And I think it's too little, too late, and we might see Pranesh win this 2-0.
Oh, by the way, I think I see a repetition because if I go queen
Oh,
c6, oh
okay.
wait, he doesn't go for the
F6.
repetition. But if I go queen c6 here, I think it was a repetition. Like queen c6, knight e4, queen g6, knight g3. I think that was a repetition of sorts. But okay, he doesn't go for it. I think he's trying to also play for a win here because looking at the time difference, that is um, quite a lot. I think in this scenario. So he plays c3, attacking the knight on d4. I think knight f5 makes the most sense. I just wouldn't go knight c6, although it looks very logical. But if I play knight c6, I'm just not allowing bishop c6 anymore, and that's what I don't like. Ooh, a mistake by Pranesh. The
He
game is
had the
on.
draw chance, but Gopal, can he make a comeback? Don't be greedy. Don't play rook takes pawn in the center. In fact, push the pawn which of yours is hanging, push it to d4 and undermine that knight on f4.
So after d4, can I not just go e takes d4, or what? What am I missing?
I think I can just pick
Ah,
c
the
takes.
yeah, takes bishop f4, knight f4, and queen d4, and you're attacking these two.
Exactly.
A
Yeah.
nice calculation exercise, I think. But is he gonna be able to find this? Oof, he does not. Sadly, he plays rook takes e5.
The pressure, it's the nerves, semi-final seat plus hundreds of dollars at stake here. Every kid wants to do their best under pressure, except Pranesh. He's just in blitz mode, Sahaj.
Yeah, I think I feel like he's very comfortable in when he has a worse position, because I think he's so, because he knows that he's gonna find some resource, to get back in the game. I've seen it so many times with Pranesh. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's definitely in the driver's seat here, and I think he is gonna pull this one for sure.
Yeah, and Sahaj, let's have another look at Jwal Soren Patel versus Pranav Anand. How? where Pranav Anand has just pushed the pawn to h5. Jewel, who needs a win, can he do it?
Uh, I'm wait. If I go G takes H5, what am I missing? Wait, what's
Nothing.
happening? Isn't that just a free pawn?
Like knight
He ta-
takes. Yeah.
Knight takes, bishop. I just looked at this queen and this knight, and somehow I just didn't have the guts to take knight h5 there because somehow it looks so scary to me to have the queen and knight combination looking at the king so so aggressively. I felt this probably is not very good for Pranav, but somehow he's okay here.
Yeah, I mean, these kids are not afraid of anyone, and was just thought of a very nice saying, as they say, calculation beats reputation. It doesn't matter, how strong the opponent is. If your calculation is perfect, trades in the center, Sahaj, rook comes to f2.
Rook
Jewel,
f1
can he find something?
Rook f1 played. He plays rook e6. Very smart move to not allow knight f6 check
Oh,
ideas anymore. So very very clever move there by him. Rook takes f1. Only move played. Rook takes f1 and rook g6. Wow, he's too fast. He's too quick. I think Pranav. I think I even though in this situation I would still choose to be white simply because I have a queen, knight, and rook, and it feels like it's a very deadly combination towards the blacking. But I'm looking at the time here, then I feel you almost have half the time of your opponent, and that's a very bad sign when there is no increment on the clock. So
yeah.
because of the time, I'm gonna choose to be black here somehow.
Makes sense. And also the draws, in the match overall, Pranav just needs a draw to go to tomorrow's semis, whereas Jewel will need a full point to enforce the Armageddon. While when Jewel thinks he's played push the pawn to e5, trying to get the knight to f6, let's have a quick check-in on Ratina as well, how he's doing against Denis Lazovic.
This is the current position. I saw that Lazovic was a bit better before, but the position has equalized more or less. Okay, and by the way, a mistake by Ratina here. After queen f3, there is f6 incoming. And by the way, look at these three pawns.
Oh,
This is bad. Oh,
super
look at this.
ugly.
White has to play rook g4 in this position. And by the way, h takes g4 is a blunder here. You have to
What?
play f6 here as black. What is going on? And after h takes
Wow.
g4, white shouldn't go queen g4. White should go queen f6. Okay, this is this is insane. Oh, by the way, played, but he goes queen g4. He
Wow.
doesn't go queen f6. Sadly,
Yeah, Queen f6. I think there's no way for Black to get that pawn. And oh, Rathina, I just show that Sahaj, you have a chance in the game, but Rathina missed the final idea, the final nail in the coffin, and now Denla's completely winning.
yeah, I think this move is going to hurt him. Like the moment he finishes the game, he's gonna go back and he's gonna check. I could play queen f6 there, and it is so unbelievable the move that it hurts you when you don't play moves like that. Yeah, that when you
Yeah,
go back and
yeah.
check those things on your computer. So yeah, I think a golden opportunity missed by Retina here. And I think Lazovic, I think back in the driver's seat, this looks like a 2-0 game to me because White basically has no compensation. You have these three pawns. There is no attack on the king side. And yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before the game is over, basically. So okay,
Yeah, let's
while
go
this
to the
happens, let's go
GG.
to Pranav versus Chwal. Okay, we already checked that. How about we checked Fausti's game? We haven't looked at that in a while. This is the current position.
Mhm.
What's going on? Okay, Fausti seems to be slightly better. There is a pawn on a6 which is up for grabs. He goes
And I
b4,
think
attacking the knight.
Roche going for a kingside attack with the rook lift. So I think kudos. Like we have said earlier, chat doesn't matter if you lose 2-0 or 1.5, you just have to go for the win. So
Hmm.
kudos to Roche on doing that. And he's making Fosti think.
For sure. Fausti is definitely, I think you would be a bit stressed here because this ever longing threat of bishop takes h6 is a bit annoying to deal with.
Mhm.
So I think for sure some problems for Fauci here. But the question is, I just don't like this queen on e2, on a2. I just want it to be on e2 or somewhere on the king side where I can sack on h6 and conduct the attack. So My
Yeah.
goal is to just reroute this queen somehow and focus on that bishop h6 sacrifice. But I think I might be a bit too late for that.
And both be spectacled kids, both wearing the red shirt, both of them in red out form. We'll see who goes through in this one. But Sahaj, let's just go to Pranesh's game. He has just beaten his opponent on the board and on the clock. It's GG's there.
Oof. Oh, this is over. This is just over. Wow. We have the first, wow, 6 minutes versus half a
Wow,
minute on
what a
the clock, and
flex. What a
that's a
flex.
flex for sure. He's having a good day.
While Pranesh is going through, we might have an Armageddon Sahaj. Let's quickly go to Jwal Soren Patel, where he is completely winning.
Wait, what? Oh, that is insane. What an update there. Wow, props to him. Props to
Wow.
Joel for fighting back from
Come on,
literally.
Jwal, can he do it?
That is
Sahaj,
insane.
is there enough juice in this position for Jwal to win and go through with only
Yes.
70 seconds on the clock? 70
I think
seconds है
for
पर time पे.
I think for sure. I don't think this is a that complicated of a position to convert into a win. But I just a few correct moves. Rook b7 for it. Ooh, that's a mistake. King e8 is a draw now.
Uh-oh.
Wait, why is this a draw? Rook b7? Rook b3, you have king f6 and he just gives checks again, or what? Or rook
I
f2
think there
perhaps.
was there was some hiding space with the king on e6 using the umbrella method. After you push the pawn, there is no hiding space, and maybe, just maybe, that's why it's a draw.
Oh, he's just moving the rook up and down. Wait, rook b4 is winning.
He missed it.
Oh, but
Now
he
he
has
plays
51
it, but
seconds
it's
on the clock.
late. One move late ahead.
Rook b6 now.
Joel, so close.
Play rook b5 again. Only move. Rook b4 perhaps. And then rook a5, I guess is the way to go. But okay, rook e to rook f5 played. King g4, rook f8. He's playing extremely fast, I think, Pranav. Very impressive, I think, from him. Oh, that's a blunder. Rook takes a4. That's winning.
Yeah, he had the time. He has to flag him. 30 seconds, or you play the Armageddon. Pranav shakes
Oof.
his head. He'd stick to
Oof.
this
Okay.
game ahead until the end.
By the way, this is now a theoretical draw. Black
Uh-oh.
has to put the king on, I think, on a4 or something, and rook on d5 or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Why is Pranav
Uh,
not thinking? He's just blitzing out Sahaj.
he's playing on the time. So
Oh,
it's very
now it's a
simple.
draw. Loses
Yeah,
a
actually,
pawn. Oh,
rook
that's
a5.
so
Oh,
sad.
why rook a5? Why would he go rook a5 there?
Yeah, just chick takes, and there's no way that white can ever win this position. Just go to the corner and chill. Look at that sigh of relief by Pranav Sahaj. He knows he was busted in this one.
Yup. I think this was the crucial moment. I think there was a lot of crucial moments. Like after rook takes a4, this is a dead winning position, but very hard to convert with 36 seconds on the clock. So great fight there
See the
by
fist bump there
Joel
by
Soren
Pranav.
Patel.
This is what it means for these youngsters. A chance to be in Mumbai at the third Global Chess League side. Let's quickly check in on the last two games. Denis Lazovic is about to finish off a well-deserved win against Rathina. Can he do it, Sahaj?
At 4 minutes versus 2 minutes, I feel this is kind of simple. There is no counterplay for white there. Yeah, I don't really see any way that he can bounce back here. I feel this game is basically over. However, Faustino versus Roshchan looks a bit more, double-edged to me. Maybe we can jump back to
Mhm.
that game as the time is also a bit similar there.
Yeah,
What is
for
the current
sure. Let's
position?
go there.
See, 3 minutes on the clock. Fausti does seem to have a slight advantage, but that ever looming threat of bishop h6 can just completely turn
Renewing.
the tide of the game.
Yeah, White almost kind of renewing that threat using double power. Firstly, thinking, is there enough defense on his side as he goes queen to a2, threatening to chop off that bishop's edge.
Yeah, exactly. So he has to defend bishop e3, bishop f4. Just keep the bishop on the same diagonal. Do not allow rook takes bishop, and the game continues. Still, I think the time is more or less balanced. So we have some chances, I think, for Roche, but looking unlikely.
Yeah, I think, and meanwhile, yeah, Dennis Lazarevic has won. So all the three invited players are through. Rosh Jen, the only qualifier alive in the entire GCL. Rosh is the last qualifier alive apart from the invited players.
Wow, wow, that is insane. That's a lot of pressure, I have to say. But I
And
think
it's
he's
you
played
have,
quite well so far. I have
yeah,
to say against Austin. He had good chances in the first game as well. Also playing that opening, I think is a very smart decision, especially in this time format.
indeed,
He
and
goes rook d3.
he is uh, trailing by a point ahead. So remember, Fosti needs just a draw to go through, and Roche needs to win to enforce the Armageddon.
Do you think it's happening, the Armageddon? Any chances?
Like 5% chance, but it's Fosti euro. Oh, and now Ross threatening that mate into his head.
He's returning
Like,
the favor, yeah. In the first
yeah,
game, he
yeah.
missed queen h6, and now he's threatening the same thing. That's quite interesting. King h7, he
Oh,
does not fall for it. No bishop g7, no rook g7. None of these sacrifices work. Just bring the queen in and hope for some miracle, I think, in this position. That's your best bet. Because if you have so many pieces close to the king, something can happen. I like queen f4 a lot, actually, here. Unless I'm missing something very basic. I don't know why the computer doesn't suggest queen f4 here. He plays,
wait,
okay?
what happened? What just happened with Fosti's camera? He slowly slid out of the screen. Maybe he's just playing with his chair or camera, but Queen F4 on the board, 1 minute 42 versus 2 minutes 10 seconds.
Attacking the f7 pawn. Black can defend it via rook d7, or black can play f5. F5 probably is the best move here for black. He goes knight takes e5. Okay, that's also clinical. Yeah, he's not making a single mistake, Fausti, in this match. Knight e5 is a very, very smart move. Knight takes e5 will just allow rook d1, and queen e5 just breaks the harmony of your attack. Like, you're not threatening anything in this move. And that's what, when you're conducting an attack, you need to keep posing threats in every single move. When you don't, then the harmony breaks. And that's what you don't want. Now the attack is basically gone. I think very good defense by Fauci here.
Yeah, true. That's a hedge and clinical, like you said. And Foxy, I think maybe his camera has dropped, but not his game, not at all. He's threatening Rook D1 to trade more pieces. And do chat, do not, be confused by the 2282 next to his name. In fact, he's more than 2500 on the FIDE list. So don't be confused then.
For sure, for sure, for sure. And now just rook d1, we're just losing. Black will just wants to take the rook, play rook d1, and he's a pawn up already. No more attack. Okay, h3 is maybe he should have gone for h4, but okay, I think it hardly changes um, the outcome of the game.
Mhm.
I,
Pawn to
there's many moves
h.
that he can play here. Queen b1, wow, clinical. Rook
Forcing a
d1, rook
rook trade.
d1, and that's a checkmate on h1.
More pieces getting traded. That just
Ooh.
kills Roche's winning chances. I think very well tried by Roche, but I think Fosti was just too uh, like way stronger than Roche in
Yeah.
this one.
I think in this matchup for sure he was, but I think it was a very good fight by Rosh. I think I really liked his first game. I think
100%.
also he had a lot of good chances in the second game as well. So I think it was a good fight. But yeah, firstly, clearly I think is a, I think it's just the Messi of chess. Yeah, I think rightfully so in that sense.
Yeah, as Roche resigns and Faustino Oro wins the match 2-0. And I think all the kids in the product, like everyone 1-2-0, if I'm not mistaken, apart from Pranav, who saved a nice draw there.
We
But
were
Sahaj,
very close to an Armageddon match here, I have to say.
yes,
Very, very close. Joel put up a
absolutely.
spectacular fight here, but I think because of time management, he wasn't able to convert it. So it was a bit sad from his side. But yes, he did put up a spectacular show for everyone here.
Absolutely, Sahaj. And with that, we are at a wrap of the quarterfinals of the knockout challengers here of the road to GCL. Tomorrow we'll have the semis, and that will feature in the Prodigy section. Faustino Oro versus Dennis Lasovic. Juicy matchup. and the other all Indian semi-final between Pranav Anand and Pranesh. So that's going to be an interesting one. We'll start off again with the men's, women's, and Prodigy tomorrow, same time. That is 8:30 p.m. India time and 5 p.m. in Europe. So we'll be checking on that. Sahaj, any last words for our
Oh,
viewers today?
I think it was a lot of fun to commentate on these games. I think a lot of the games were, I would say, very close. Especially, I really enjoyed the games of Mitra, for example, especially in the end. When she was a night down and then she ended up, fighting, kept fighting, kept fighting, and somehow she managed to survive. And we saw that very cool Armageddon match. But yeah, it was a spectacular performance by the players, and looking forward to the semifinals tomorrow.
Likewise, likewise. We'll be back for the semifinals, 5 p.m. Europe time, Central Europe, 8:30 p.m. India time. Big shout out to producer Samay for a very smooth show and the all the amazing camera reactions of the players. Shout out to our chess.com team as well for all their support on the back end, the fair play staff, and also to the Global Chess League, to Tech Mahindra as well for coming up with this beautiful format. So thank you to Gigi, Ritik, and the entire team there. We'll be back tomorrow with the semis on a Super Saturday. Thank you so much, chat. Good night and see you tomorrow.